You won a trip to the Caribbean in a sweepstakes. Well, if that's the case, Mommy and I are going. You're staying behind. Got it. If not, we're getting divorced, Andrew declared, his threat of divorce hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. His mother, standing beside him, wore a smirk of triumph, relishing the moment. I couldn't let this blatant manipulation slide. No, I would concoct my own special revenge against this conniving mother-son duo. My name is Lilian, aged 32, just your average working mother at some nondescript company. Andrew and I had been married for 2 years. I had stumbled upon him, 2 years my senior, through a mutual acquaintance. Romance was never my forte. I hadn't dated much during college and my post-graduation relationships hadn't panned out. Before I knew it, I was 30, and my concerned parents had begun seeking potential matches for me. Andrew appeared on the scene, a composed and caring individual with a strong devotion to his parents, a trait that resonated with my own values. Thinking perhaps I could forge a connection with him, I agreed to marry him. Our wedding was a smooth affair, celebrated by many, and initially, our union seemed to be pure bliss. About 6 months into our marriage, my phone began to ring incessantly, each call bearing Andrew's name. With a sense of urgency, I returned his call, only to be met with his strained voice on the other end. "Please try to stay calm," he began, his words heavy with distress. "It's about Dad. Something's happened to Alfred. He collapsed at home and has been rushed to the hospital." And then, it hit me like a wave. The sudden news of my father-in-law's passing was unfathomable. He had always been the epitome of health. The shock was palpable, not just for me, but for everyone involved. Following Alfred's passing, Andrew's attention shifted drastically towards his now solitary mother. He became excessively attentive, visiting her daily, sharing meals or accompanying her on shopping trips. He even took special leave to embark on a trip with her. It wasn't that he neglected me, but whenever our plans clashed, his priority was always her. "Sorry, Lilian, Mom just called and she needs me," he would say apologetically. "But we had plans," I'd protest, feeling the sting of disappointment. "She's feeling alone," he'd reason. "You don't mind, do you? You can go to the movies alone, can't you?" "I'm fine," I'd reply, though inwardly resentment brewed. Why was I the one being held accountable? Wasn't Matilda the one making demands? Regardless of Andrew's apparent devotion to his lonely mother-in-law, it's evident that he's a mama's boy. Yet aside from this recurrent issue with his mom, our marriage was tolerable. I presume this was simply the norm for married life. My personal refuge. Solving crossword puzzles with enticing prizes. They provided solace whenever Andrew abandoned me for Matilda, and occasionally, I'd score gift cards or delectable treats. Then came the day I clinched a pair of tickets to the Caribbean, the grandest prize I'd ever won. I meticulously verified my victory multiple times, consumed by exhilaration. The tickets necessitated specifying the travel companions before contacting the airline. Contemplating who to bring Andrew naturally came to mind, but hesitations lingered. He often jetted off with Matilda, and if I proposed a trip together, she might insist on tagging along. After careful deliberation, I resolved to gift the trip to my parents. As I made my way home, I swung by my parents' place to share the thrilling news. "Mom, guess what? I've won tickets to the Caribbean," I announced, brimming with excitement. "Oh goodness, that's wonderful news. You and Andrew must be thrilled," Mom responded, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Not quite," I replied with a grin. "I've decided to give them to you and Dad." "To us? Are you sure?" Mom exclaimed, clearly taken aback. "Absolutely. Andrew's always traveling, but I want you two to have this experience," I reassured her. "Thank you, Lilian. We're beyond grateful," Mom beamed, her excitement palpable. Dad, however, appeared deep in thought. "Dad seems troubled," I observed. "Well, work's been hectic lately. It's not the best time for me to be away," Dad explained with a furrowed brow. "That's unfortunate," I acknowledged. Then Dad suggested, "Why not take Olivia instead? After all, it was your prize originally, wasn't it? Enjoy some quality time together." Mom's face lit up at the idea. "That sounds lovely." Feeling elated and increasingly excited, I applied for leave the next day, which was promptly approved. I wasted no time contacting the airline to arrange for my parents to use the tickets. On my way home from work, I stopped by a bookstore and purchased a guidebook for the Caribbean trip. It had been far too long since Mom and I had gone on an adventure together, and I couldn't wait to make new memories. But upon arriving home, I was met with an unexpected sight. I'm home, I called out upon entering, expecting to find Andrew, but instead discovering the house illuminated by lights. Oddly, there were women's shoes at the entrance rather than Andrew's. Contemplating this, I was met with the sight of Matilda as she swung open the living room door. Lilian, do you have any idea what time it is? She scolded. Oh, Matilda, I didn't realize you were here, I responded, taken aback. It's not just about me being here. Coming home this late, what have you been up to? Andrew will be back any minute now, she continued, her tone accusatory. I'm sorry, I'll start dinner right away, I offered, hoping to diffuse the tension. It's not just about dinner, is it? Making the bed is basic common sense for a daughter-in-law. Do you even take your role seriously? Matilda questioned sharply. I apologize if things have fallen short because of my work. Perhaps you should consider being more dedicated to your home, I retorted, feeling the weight of her disapproval. With Matilda living nearby and holding the spare key, her unannounced visits were a regular occurrence. Embracing traditional beliefs about a daughter-in-law's duties, she clearly disapproved of my full-time job. Her constant nitpicking and criticism made it difficult for me to warm up to her. As I began preparing dinner, Matilda suddenly exclaimed, Hold on. What's this, Lilian? Are you planning a trip to the Caribbean? Surprised, she had unearthed the newly purchased guidebook from my bag. Matilda, why are you going through my things? I protested. That's beside the point. What's this about the Caribbean? She demanded, her tone sharp. I had won the trip in a sweepstakes, intending to gift it to Mom. I hadn't mentioned it to anyone yet. Our argument was abruptly halted by Andrew's arrival. Matilda rushed to him, pointing an accusatory finger in my direction. Andrew, listen to this. Lilian's been utterly thoughtless. What's going on, Mom? Did Lilian pull one of her stunts again? A Caribbean trip, planning to give it to Olivia without even consulting me. What Caribbean trip? This is news to me too, Andrew demanded, glaring at me. It's quite simple. I won the trip and thought of giving it to my parents. But since Dad can't go, you're going with Olivia, I explained calmly. Yeah, so what's the problem? You're always traveling with Matilda, Andrew retorted. It's not the same. Mom and I only go on domestic trips. We haven't been abroad in years. How could you decide this without even talking to me? It's my prize. Why should I have to? I protested, feeling my frustration rise. Andrew slammed his hand on the table, cutting me off. You're getting too bold for a daughter-in-law. Mommy and I are going. You'll stay home. Mommy, I couldn't hide the disdain in my voice at Andrew's juvenile choice of words. Wait a minute. This trip, you've had enough of it. If you're not happy, let's talk about divorce, Andrew declared sharply. What divorce? I was taken aback, unable to comprehend his extreme reaction. Threatening divorce over something so trivial seemed absurd. Fueled by anger, I fired back. I earned this trip fair and square. I've already made up my mind to gift it to my own mother. Can't you pick up on the signals for once? Mom wants to go. Where does it end with prioritizing Matilda? You never take my feelings into consideration. I don't care how you feel. Like I said, this trip is for Mommy and me. Stay home and behave. Andrew dismissed me coldly. My affection for Andrew waned rapidly in that moment. It was clear that in his eyes I ranked lower than Matilda. I couldn't continue to tolerate this absurd dynamic between the two of them. Keeping my composure, I told Andrew, Fine, do as you please and enjoy your trip. Humph, you should have listened to reason from the beginning. Suit yourself, always being argumentative, Andrew huffed in response. The Andrew I once knew, kind and understanding, seemed to have vanished, and there was Matilda, wearing a smug smirk of victory. It was then that I made up my mind to leave the house while they were away on their trip. I resolved to let Andrew and Matilda have this time together. The following day, I reached out to the airline to inform them of the change in travelers, substituting Andrew and my mother-in-law. However, the operator's response carried a note of concern. I'm sorry, but once the participants are confirmed, we're unable to modify them, they explained. Is that so? I inquired, a sinking feeling settling in. Yes. Additionally, this airline ticket stipulates that the original winner must be present. If your husband and mother-in-law are listed, the ticket will be rendered invalid, the operator clarified. So, if I don't go, the ticket serves no purpose, I confirmed. Correct. Please refer to the documents we provided, outlining this specific condition, they advised. Upon reviewing the documents, I discovered a clear statement. Only the winner was authorized to use the ticket, and it was non-transferable. Relaying this information to the operator, I made the decision to decline the trip without informing Andrew and Matilda. Instead, I resolved to let them make their own arrangements for travel at their own expense. That evening, upon my return from work, I broached the topic of the Caribbean trip with Andrew. Andrew, about the trip to the Caribbean. Yeah, you've contacted the airline, right? Informing them that Mommy and I will be going, he interrupted. I did make the call. Here are the winning documents and the tickets. I only need the tickets. I won't bother with the documents, I explained, handing them over. There are detailed instructions in those documents. Considering it's an international trip, it might be wise to give them a read, Andrew suggested cautiously. I don't see the need. Mommy and I know what we're doing. We're efficient, unlike you, he asserted confidently. Fine, whatever. I'll leave them here just in case. I relented, sensing it was futile to argue further. As I anticipated, Andrew neglected to read the documents, leading to a debacle on the day of the trip. After confirming his departure, I swiftly packed my bags and made my way to my parents' house. While unpacking as expected, I received a call from Andrew. As soon as I answered, he erupted, "What's going on? They're saying the ticket can't be used." That's correct. If the winner doesn't travel, the ticket becomes void, I explained calmly. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Andrew demanded, his tone accusatory. I did tell you. Remember? It would have been wise to read the instructions. I reminded him. You mean it was in those documents you gave me? Andrew realized with frustration. Exactly. It's your responsibility for not reading them, I replied matter-of-factly. This is ridiculous. How are we supposed to get to the Caribbean? Andrew panicked. Well, the operator did mention that if the winner doesn't travel, you'd have to pay the full price, I informed him. The full price? Andrew exclaimed, clearly caught off guard. In the background, I could hear Matilda's voice, indicating they were both distressed. Andrew, what did Lilian say? Matilda's voice interjected. Mommy, if Lilian doesn't have to pay for the trip, Andrew began, but I didn't catch the rest of his sentence as he handed the phone to Matilda. They can sort it out themselves, I heard Andrew mutter before ending the call. After ending the call, it wasn't long before Andrew rang again. Hello, I answered. What's going on? I'm busy, Andrew snapped. It's not what's going on. I tried to purchase the tickets, but the credit card isn't working, he exclaimed in frustration. Huh? I don't know anything about your card, I responded, puzzled. It's not mine, it's your card, he clarified. Oh, so you're saying you used my card without my permission? I realized with a sinking feeling. Just fix it now, Andrew demanded impatiently. I recalled checking my wallet earlier that morning and discovering my card missing. Suspecting the worst, I immediately froze it. I knew you took it, I accused. Are you kidding me? I was planning to use that card for shopping abroad, Andrew retorted defensively. Always causing problems, you jerk, I seethed with anger. You freaking witch, Andrew fired back, showing no remorse for his actions or for taking the trip. It was yet another instance of him prioritizing himself above all else. I can't deal with this anymore, I declared, my frustration boiling over. A jerk? Who are you calling that? After constantly belittling others, you can just go to hell. Andrew shot back defensively. What? Who are you talking to like that? I countered sharply. Who do you think? Your constant reliance on Mommy is honestly creepy. If you love her so much, why don't you two just stick together? I can't handle being married to a mama's boy like you. There's no point in us being together. I lashed out, my words dripping with disdain. Hey, calm down. If you keep this up, we'll get a divorce, Andrew warned. Fine by me. I've been thinking the same thing, I retorted, my anger flaring. With that, I stormed out of the house with no intention of returning. Let them enjoy their time abroad in the Caribbean. Maybe they'll both sink, damn mama's boy. In a fit of rage, I hung up and blocked both Andrew and his mother. Determined to end this toxic relationship, I sought legal advice from a firm recommended by my father and initiated the divorce process. Upon reviewing our savings for asset division, I made a startling discovery. Our joint account had been emptied. That was the shocking discovery I made upon reviewing our joint account. There were numerous withdrawals, all coinciding with Andrew's trips with his mother. It became evident that he had used our savings to fund their travels in addition to unauthorized charges on my credit card. Demanding compensation, I insisted on a significant sum. However, Andrew's financial situation quickly spiraled into debt, and he found himself hounded by creditors. The once indulged mother, now constrained by her actions, witnessed her relationship with Andrew sour, their interactions fraught with arguments. The irony wasn't lost on me, considering his past behavior. Meanwhile, I made the decision to reside with my parents for a period. Recognizing the concern I had caused, I was determined to repay their kindness by living with them and attending to their needs. Marriage held little appeal for me now. What truly mattered was the love and support of a caring family. Through the tumult of divorce, I found solace in this realization once again.
The text glowed mockingly on my husband's phone. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. Last night was magical. Love you. I stared at those words until they burned into my retinas, until the screen dimmed and went dark, until my fingertips went numb from gripping the device. 20 years of marriage reduced to 12 words from someone named Olivia. My name is Valeria, and I used to write stories about other people's tragedies. Now I'm living in one. The irony wasn't lost on me. Finding out about Nathan's affair while searching for the photos he promised to send from Megan's sweet 16 party last weekend? The party where he'd given that touching speech about family being everything? The party where he'd kissed my cheek in front of everyone, calling me his rock, his foundation. Mom? Megan's voice floated up from downstairs. Have you seen Dad's phone? He's freaking out about missing it. I took a deep breath, my thumb hovering over the screen. Coming, honey! My voice didn't shake. 16 years of community theater had taught me something after all. I'd watched Nathan perfect his craft on those same stages, turning from my awkward college sweetheart into the darling of local television. The man whose car commercials played during prime time. The man who apparently needed a 28-year-old actress to feel validated. I walked downstairs, each step measured, controlled. Nathan paced in the kitchen, running his hands through his perfectly styled hair, the hair he'd started dyeing 3 months ago. Another clue I'd missed. Oh, thank God, he said, reaching for the phone. Where was it? Bedroom dresser. I handed it over, watching his face. You got a text. His fingers tightened around the phone. Most people wouldn't notice the slight tension in his jaw, the barely perceptible pause before he smiled. But I'd spent 2 decades studying Nathan Martin's expressions. I knew every micro movement of his face, the real ones and the performed ones. Probably the agency, he said smoothly, pocketing the device without checking it. They've been calling about that cable series pilot. Megan beamed at him from the breakfast bar. Dad, that's amazing. Why didn't you tell me? Nothing to tell yet, princess. Just preliminary talks. He kissed her forehead, then turned to me. Val, don't forget I have that charity event tonight. Might be late. Of course, the charity event. I wondered how many of those late nights had actually involved raising money for anything other than hotel room charges. I'll be late too, I said, surprising myself. Meeting Lucas for drinks to discuss a potential writing project. Nathan's smile flickered. Lucas Reed had been my friend since college. Before Nathan, before I gave up playwriting to support my husband's dreams. Before I became the stable income that funded his acting classes and headshots and demo reels. Lucas? I thought you'd given up writing. Apparently not. I met his gaze steadily. Things change. Megan looked between us, her forehead creasing slightly. She'd always been perceptive, our daughter. Too perceptive sometimes. I forced a smile. It's probably nothing, I added, the lie bitter on my tongue. Just catching up with an old friend. Nathan nodded, but I saw the calculation in his eyes. He was wondering if I knew, if Lucas had said something, if his carefully constructed world was about to crumble. Let him wonder. I picked up my coffee cup, hiding my expression behind the rim. 20 years ago, I wrote a play about a woman who discovered her husband's betrayal and poisoned him slowly over months. The critics called it melodramatic, unrealistic, said no one would go to such elaborate lengths for revenge. I set down my cup and smiled at my husband. Have fun at your event, darling. Break a leg. He'd taught me well, after all. The best performances are the ones where the audience never sees the knife coming. Lucas studied me from across the table at Morton's, his expression shifting from concern to something darker as I finished telling him about Nathan's text messages. Have you confronted him? He asked, swirling his scotch. What's the point? He'll just lie. I stabbed at my untouched salad. You know what he told Megan this morning? That he's being considered for a cable series pilot. Another lie to feed his ego. Actually, Lucas set down his glass. That part's true. The network's interested in him for a supporting role in my new show. The fork clattered against my plate. Of course! The universe wasn't content just letting Nathan destroy our marriage. It had to reward him too. And through my oldest friend, no less. When were you planning to tell me? Tonight, actually. But not like this. Lucas leaned forward. Val, if I'd known about Olivia. Olivia Turner, I cut in. I looked her up. She's guest starring in that medical drama you produce. Another coincidence? The silence stretched between us, heavy with 25 years of friendship and unspoken truths. Finally, Lucas pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and slid it across the table. On the screen was a production photo. Nathan and Olivia in costume, standing too close, looking at each other with undisguised heat. They met at the callback, Lucas said quietly. I thought it was just chemistry for the camera. I pushed the phone back, my hand steady despite the rage building in my chest. How long have you known? I suspected, but how long? 3 weeks. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I was going to tell you, but Nathan swore it was over. Said it was a mistake, that he loved you and Megan too much to... My laugh cut through the restaurant's refined atmosphere, drawing stares from nearby tables. Let me guess. He gave you his sincere face. The one with the little forehead crease and the slightly trembling lip? He's been perfecting that one since college theater. Val, you know what's funny? I took a long sip of wine. This morning, I was actually grateful for all those years of watching him rehearse. It taught me how to hide what I'm feeling, how to deliver my lines just right. Lucas's expression shifted to alarm. What are you planning? Nothing dramatic. I smiled, remembering the way Nathan had kissed Megan's forehead this morning. So paternal, so pure. Just thinking about that screenplay you mentioned wanting from me. The one about family dynamics and betrayal? Valeria. His voice carried a warning. What? Isn't that what you always told me? Write what you know? I pulled out my credit card as the waiter approached. I think I finally have a story worth telling. This isn't the way... Did you know Megan's been talking about following in her father's footsteps? Wants to study drama in college. I signed the receipt with deliberate strokes. She thinks he's this brilliant artist who sacrificed everything for his craft, who deserves all this success because he worked so hard, stayed so true to his values. She deserves to keep that image of him. Does she? I met Lucas's gaze. Or does she deserve to know that success built on lies isn't success at all? What about your success? He gestured around us. The corporate job? The stable life you've built? Built on what? Suppressing my own dreams? Playing the supportive wife while he... I stopped, noticing my voice had risen again. When I continued, it was barely above a whisper. You know what Nathan said to me last week? That I was lucky he'd helped me find my true calling in corporate work, since my writing never really had that special something. Lucas's face darkened. He didn't. Oh, but he did. Right after his commercial won that local advertising award. I stood, smoothing my skirt. So yes, I think I'll write that screenplay. About a woman who discovers her husband's betrayal and decides to... Well, that would spoil the ending, wouldn't it? Val, wait. I have to go. Megan's alone at home and Nathan's at his... charity event. I picked up my purse. Thanks for dinner, Lucas. And for the inspiration. Sometimes the best stories come from unexpected places. As I walked away, I heard him call after me. What are you going to do? I didn't turn around. Let him wonder. Let them all wonder. After all, isn't that what good writing is about? Keeping your audience guessing until the final act? The Instagram account wasn't even private. That's what broke me. The sheer arrogance of it. Nathan's alternate profile filled with artsy black and white photos of Olivia in various states of carefully curated intimacy. Her hand on his chest. Their shadows merged on a wall. Her lipstick mark on a coffee cup. The timestamps mocked me. 6 months. While I was planning Megan's Sweet 16, while I was supporting his networking events, while I was playing the dutiful corporate wife, they were crafting their little visual love story. My laptop hummed as I scrolled through their digital affair. Each photo carried a pretentious caption, quotes about passion, about living authentically, about following your heart. The latest one showed Olivia's silhouette in a hotel window, posted 3 hours ago. Beauty exists in the spaces between reality and dreams. The front door clicked open downstairs. I heard Nathan's footsteps, then Megan's excited voice. Dad, you have to tell Mom about the audition. I closed the laptop, my fingers trembling slightly as I stood. Their voices drifted up the stairs. Actually, Princess, let me talk to her alone first. Adult stuff. But why don't you order that pizza we talked about? Use my card. I met them at the bottom of the stairs. Nathan's smile was bright, practiced. The same one he used in his commercials. Val, you won't believe what happened at the network meeting. Let me guess, I said, my voice steady. They loved your authentic energy. His smile flickered. How did you... That's your favorite word lately, isn't it? Authentic? I pulled out my phone, opened Instagram. Like this photo from 2 weeks ago. Authenticity is the light that guides us home. The color drained from his face. Behind him, Megan froze with her father's credit card halfway to her phone. Mom, what are you talking about? Nothing, honey, Nathan said quickly. Just some promotional materials for what? I turned my phone toward him. Your artistic exploration of hotel room photography? Or maybe your deep insights into shadow play with actresses half your age? Valeria, his voice dropped to that warning tone he used when he thought I was being difficult. This isn't the time or place. When is the time, Nathan? Between charity events? Between auditions? Between making our daughter believe you're something you're not? What's going on? Megan's voice cracked. Dad? He reached for her, but she stepped back. Smart girl. She'd always been able to smell a performance. It's complicated, sweetheart. Is it? I scrolled through the photos. Seems pretty simple to me. Boy meets girl, boy lies to wife, boy posts artistic evidence of affair online because he thinks he's too special for consequences. You're twisting everything, Nathan snapped. This is my art, my career. Your career? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make them both flinch. The one I funded? The one I supported while putting my own dreams aside? That career? Mom. Megan's eyes were wide, darting between us. I was going to tell you, Nathan said, switching to his sincere voice, the one that had won him that local Emmy. After the pilot gets picked up, once things were stable, like you told Lucas, the look of shock on his face was almost worth it. Oh yes, he knew. Everyone knew except your wife and daughter. How's that for authentic? Megan's phone clattered to the floor. She ran upstairs, her door slamming seconds later. Now look what you've done, Nathan hissed. You couldn't wait? Couldn't handle this like an adult? Like you handled it, with secret accounts and artistic quotes about following your heart? I never meant to get caught? I held up my phone again. Here's my favorite caption. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go of the life you thought you wanted. Posted right after Megan's birthday party. While I was cleaning up the decorations you promised to help with. He reached for me, but I stepped back, just like Megan had. The gesture felt like poetry, like something I might write into a scene. Don't worry, I said, pocketing my phone. I'm taking your advice, letting go of the life I thought I wanted, starting with this marriage. Val, I'm going to check on our daughter, and then I'm going to write something authentic about a man who thought he was too special for consequences. I started up the stairs, then paused. By the way, congratulations on the pilot. Break a leg. I mean that literally. My laptop screen flickered in the darkness of my home office as I typed the opening scene. Interior, living room, night. A woman stands at the window, watching her life unravel in real time. 3 days since the Instagram revelation. 3 days of Megan barely speaking to either of us. 3 days of Nathan sleeping in the guest room, making tearful phone calls he thought I couldn't hear. A knock at my door made me jump. Mom? Megan's voice uncertain. Can I show you something? I closed the laptop. Come in, honey. She entered, clutching her phone like a shield. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, so different from her usual carefully styled appearance. I found something else. About Dad and her. My stomach clenched. You don't have to. They're doing a play together. She thrust the phone at me. At the community theater, where you and Dad met. The casting announcement swam before my eyes. Betrayal by Harold Pinter. Leading roles, Nathan Martin and Olivia Turner. Directed by Marcus Chen, Nathan's old college roommate. Opening night is on your anniversary, Megan said quietly. Of course it was, because the universe wasn't finished teaching me about irony. Did you know? I said, setting down the phone. That's the play where your father and I had our first kiss? I was understudying the lead actress and she got food poisoning opening weekend. Mom? He said I saved the show, called it destiny. I laughed, but it came out wrong. I quit acting after that, said I preferred writing. Truth was, I knew I couldn't compete with his talent, his ambition. Stop! Megan's voice cracked. Just stop pretending you're okay. I'm not pretending. I opened my laptop again. I'm writing. She moved behind me, reading over my shoulder. Her breath caught. Is that about Dad? It's about a lot of things. I scrolled through the pages I'd written. About choices. About what happens when we build our lives around other people's dreams. He's saying it was a mistake. She sat beside me. That Olivia meant nothing. That he wants to fix things. And you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore. She picked up a framed photo from my desk. The three of us at her middle school graduation. Everything feels fake now, like we were just acting at being a family. My phone buzzed. Lucas, network loved your outline. Want to meet tomorrow? This could be big. Another buzz. Nathan, please, we need to talk. About the show. About us. About everything. A third buzz. An unknown number. Hi Valeria, this is Olivia. I think we should meet. Megan watched the messages appear. What are you going to do? I looked at my screenplay, at the blinking cursor waiting for the next scene. What do you think I should do? I think... She hesitated, then squared her shoulders. I think you should finish your story, the real one. Even if it hurts people we love? Doesn't lying hurt more? She stood, suddenly looking older than her 16 years. Dad always says art should tell the truth. Let's see if he really believes that. After she left, I stared at the messages. Each one a different path, a different version of revenge or redemption. The writer in me saw the possibilities. Confront Olivia, expose Nathan, use Lucas's offer to tell my story to the world. But Megan's words echoed. Doesn't lying hurt more? I opened a new document and began to type. Interior. Theater. Night. A woman watches from the wings as her husband rehearses a play about betrayal with his mistress. But this isn't that story. This is about what happens next. About the moment she stops being an understudy in her own life. My fingers flew across the keyboard, no longer hesitating. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's story. It's about finally telling your own. I texted Lucas back. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m., bringing the first act with me. Then I blocked Nathan's number, deleted Olivia's message and kept writing until dawn broke over my new beginning. The network conference room felt too bright, too sterile for the scene unfolding behind its glass walls. Lucas stood at the whiteboard, pitching my screenplay to a room full of executives while I watched their faces for reactions. Every nod, every scribbled note, every shared glance felt like another nail in Nathan's coffin. It's raw, the development executive said, tapping her pen against my script. The protagonist's anger feels personal. That's what makes it compelling, Lucas answered before I could. It's authentic. That word again. I suppressed a laugh. We'd need to change some details, another exec said. Legal considerations. Of course, I smiled, the same smile I'd practiced in community theater decades ago. I'm open to suggestions. The meeting ended with handshakes and promises of contracts. As we walked to the elevator, Lucas grabbed my arm. They're going to fast-track it. This could air within months. Good. Val, wait. He pulled me aside. Nathan called me this morning. He knows about the meeting. The elevator dinged. Empty. We stepped inside. How? Olivia. She's friends with someone in development. Lucas pressed the lobby button. They're both worried about what you're writing. They should be. He's threatening to sue. Says he can prove it's about him, that it will destroy his chance at the cable series. I watched the floor numbers descend. Funny how he's more worried about his career than his marriage. This isn't just about Nathan anymore. If he sues, the network will pull out. Your chance at writing again? My phone buzzed. Megan. Dad's at the house. He's packing your scripts. The elevator stopped. Wrong floor. The doors opened to reveal Olivia Turner. She stepped in, pressing herself against the opposite wall. Younger in person. Beautiful in that careful way that required constant maintenance. She wore the same shade of lipstick from Nathan's Instagram photos. Valeria, she said quietly, I tried to reach you. I know. Lucas shifted uncomfortably between us as the elevator resumed its descent. It's not what you think. Olivia continued. Nathan and I, save it for your performance. I checked my phone again. Megan, he's in your office. What should I do? The elevator reached the lobby. As I stepped out, Olivia called after me. He never loved me. It was always you. I turned back. That's the problem. He never loved me enough to be honest. Val, Lucas started. I need to go. I was already walking away. Nathan's at my house. Don't do anything. Stupid? I laughed. Too late. I drove home in a daze, remembering the first play Nathan and I did together. He'd been so genuine then, so raw with talent and dreams. When had that changed? When had we both started performing instead of living? Nathan's car sat in our driveway. Inside, I found him in my office, surrounded by scattered papers. Early drafts of my screenplay, notes, character sketches. You can't do this, he said without looking up. You'll ruin everything. You already did that. He held up a page. Is this how you see me? A narcissist who trades authenticity for applause? If the description fits? Mom, Megan appeared in the doorway. I tried to stop him. It's okay, honey. I kept my eyes on Nathan. Your father was just leaving. Not without these. He gathered the papers. I'm taking them to my lawyer. Those are copies. I smiled, thinking of the final draft safely stored in multiple cloud accounts. The real script is already with the network. Signed, sealed, and in development. He froze. You're bluffing. Am I? You taught me well, Nathan. About performing, about timing, about waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the killing line. This isn't one of your plays. No, I agreed. It's better, because this time, I'm writing the ending. He stood, papers crumpling in his fists. I'll stop you. Like you stopped Olivia from coming to the network meeting today? I watched his face pale. She sends her regards, by the way. Something about how you never really loved her. Megan made a small sound. Nathan turned to her, reaching out, but she backed away. Princess, don't. She moved to stand beside me. Just don't. Nathan looked between us, his actor's composure cracking. Without another word, he dropped the papers and left. The front door slammed. His car started. Megan picked up one of the scattered pages. Scene 4. A daughter realizes her father's greatest performance was being a father at all. We can change that line, I said softly. No. She handed me the page. It's perfect. It's authentic. I took the paper, thinking of contracts and lawyers and consequences. But for the first time in 20 years, I felt real. Unscripted. Free. Opening night of Betrayal at the community theater. I sat in the back row, watching my husband perform opposite his mistress, speaking lines about infidelity and deception while the audience leaned forward in their seats, oblivious to the real drama unfolding before them. My phone vibrated. Lucas. Network lawyers want to meet. Tomorrow. It's urgent. Another message from my corporate boss, Pauline. Need to discuss your extended leave request. HR involvement likely. Then Megan. Dad's lawyer called. Says you have to stop the project or they'll take everything. The irony of watching Nathan perform this particular play wasn't lost on me. Harold Pinter would have appreciated the layers of betrayal happening on and off stage. I certainly did. During intermission, I slipped backstage, muscle memory guiding me through the familiar corridors. Nathan's dressing room door stood ajar. Inside, Olivia perched on his makeup counter while he paced. They can't prove it's about us, she was saying. It's just a story. You don't know, Val, Nathan replied. Every detail will be perfect, every accusation crafted to... He stopped when he saw me. What are you doing here? Supporting local theater. I leaned against the doorframe. Brilliant performance, by the way. Both of you. The scene where Emma confesses her affair? Almost believed it. Olivia slid off the counter. I should stay. I smiled. This concerns you too. The network loves the script, by the way. Especially the part where the younger actress realizes she's just another stepping stone in an aging actor's desperate grab at relevance. You vindictive bitch, Nathan snarled, dropping his cultivated stage voice. You think you can just destroy everything I've built? Everything we built, I corrected. Or did you forget who paid for your first headshots? Who covered the mortgage while you did unpaid theater work? Who raised your daughter while you chased fame? Mom? I turned. Megan stood in the hallway, still wearing her theater volunteer badge. Her face was pale, makeup streaked with tears. "Honey," Nathan started. "Don't." She looked past him to Olivia. "I trusted you. You said you were helping him with character work, that all those private rehearsals were necessary." "Megan, it's complicated," Olivia tried. "No, it's not." Megan's voice cracked. "It's actually really simple. You're both liars." A stagehand appeared. 5 minutes to places. Nathan reached for his daughter, but she backed away. "Princess, please." "Stop acting!" Megan shouted. Heads turned in the hallway. "Just stop! For once in your life, be real!" She ran. Nathan moved to follow, but I blocked him. "You have a show to finish! Isn't that what matters most?" "This isn't over," he growled. "My lawyer will sue me? Expose me? Go ahead." I stepped closer. "But remember who taught me about timing, about building tension, about waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the killing blow. You made me a better writer, Nathan. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment of gaslighting. It's all there in the script. Your greatest performance. Preserved forever." The stagehand called again. Nathan's jaw clenched. "You'll lose everything." "I already did." I turned to leave, then paused. "Break a leg. Again. I mean that literally." Outside, I found Megan in my car, sobbing. I slid into the driver's seat but didn't start the engine. "I posted about it," she whispered. "The truth. About Dad and Olivia, about your script, everything." My phone started buzzing with notifications. Local theater groups, Nathan's fan pages, entertainment blogs, all lighting up with the story. "I'm sorry," Megan said. "I just couldn't watch them pretend anymore." I pulled her close, feeling her tears soak my shoulder. Through the windshield, I watched the theater's marquee lights blink against the darkening sky. 20 years ago, Nathan and I had kissed under those lights, both of us dreaming of bigger stages, brighter futures. My phone kept buzzing. Lucas, the network, lawyers, reporters, all wanting answers, explanations, statements. The story was breaking, but not the way I'd planned. Not through my carefully crafted screenplay, but through my daughter's raw, unfiltered truth. I started the car. Sometimes the best revenge isn't the one you plan. Sometimes it's the one that happens when you finally stop performing and let the truth speak for itself. "Let's go home," I said. The real show's about to begin. The network executives sat around the conference table, my screenplay spread before them like evidence at a trial. Nathan's lawyer stood at the window, his reflection a dark smudge against the city skyline. Lucas hadn't shown up. "Mrs. Martin," the lawyer said, "my client is willing to be generous despite your creative interpretation of events." I traced the title page of my script. "Generous how?" "Full ownership of the house, a substantial settlement. All he asks is that you shelve the screenplay." The head executive, Sarah Chen, cleared her throat. "Given the legal complications, we're considering postponing development." "You can't." I pulled out my phone, opened Megan's viral post. The story's already out there. 3 million views since last night. Every major entertainment blog is running with it. "Which is why," the lawyer interjected, "we need to contain this quickly." The conference room door opened. Nathan walked in, followed by Olivia. He'd aged overnight, his carefully maintained appearance cracking around the edges. No makeup could hide the defeat in his eyes. "Val," he said softly, "please." "The network's offering 7 figures, Sarah said, "for exclusive rights. We'll bury it. Everyone saves face." I looked at Olivia, who wouldn't meet my eyes. "Nothing to add? No more performances to give?" "I never meant," she started. "To get caught? To become part of someone else's story instead of the star of your own?" I stood. Neither did I. But here we are. "Think about Megan," Nathan pleaded. "I am thinking about Megan. About what you taught her about truth, about authenticity, about—" The door opened again. Lucas entered, followed by Pauline Carter, my corporate boss. "Sorry we're late," Lucas said. "Had to pick up your biggest fan." Pauline strode to the table, her heels clicking like punctuation marks. "I just read the script, all of it, including the parts about the corporate wife who enables her husband's dreams while suppressing her own." She turned to Sarah. "If you don't produce this, we will." "You don't have the rights," Nathan's lawyer started. "Actually," Lucas pulled out a document. "We do. Valeria signed with my production company last night. And Pauline's media conglomerate just acquired us. Nathan slumped in his chair. You planned this. No, I smiled. That's the beauty of it. Sometimes the truth creates its own momentum. Like your performance last night. The one you couldn't finish because the audience started reading Megan's post mid-show. Art imitating life, imitating art. The settlement offer stands, his lawyer insisted. Counteroffer. I opened my laptop, turned it toward them. I just finished the final scene. Want to hear it? Nobody spoke. I read anyway. Interior. Conference room. Day. A woman faces the people who tried to silence her story. She realizes that revenge isn't about destroying someone else's narrative. It's about finally telling your own. That's it? Olivia asked. That's it. No dramatic confrontations, no public humiliation, just the truth, finally spoken aloud. I closed the laptop. The rest is up to the audience. You'll regret this, Nathan said, but his voice lacked conviction. Maybe, but I regret the last 20 years more. I gathered my things. Pauline, Lucas, shall we discuss production schedules? As we left, Sarah called out, What about the network deal? I paused at the door. Submit a bid like everyone else. I hear there's quite a bidding war starting. Something about authenticity being very marketable these days. In the elevator, Pauline squeezed my arm. You know what impressed me most? That scene where the wife realizes her corporate job wasn't a compromise. It was preparation. Learning to navigate power plays, to recognize manipulation, to stand her ground. I had a good teacher. You had good material. Lucas grinned. Though I still think we should end with the theater scene. No. I watched the numbers descend. Let the audience write their own ending. That's what Nathan never understood. The best stories don't tell people what to think. They make them feel what's true. My phone buzzed. Megan. Dad's moving out. Can we order pizza and work on my college applications? I'm thinking of majoring in creative writing. I showed the message to Lucas and Pauline. They both nodded, understanding. Now that, I said, is what I call a satisfying third act. The elevator doors opened to a lobby full of reporters. Time for one final performance. This time, as myself. The premiere screening room hummed with anticipation. My screenplay, authentic performance, filled the screen while critics and industry executives whispered in the darkness. In the back row, Megan squeezed my hand as the final scene played out. On screen, the wife confronted her husband not with rage or accusations, but with silence. The kind that forces people to fill it with truth. Just like I'd done in real life. The lights came up. Applause erupted. But I watched Nathan's empty seat in the third row. He'd received an invitation but chosen not to come. His latest Instagram post showed him at a regional theater in Ohio, playing Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. Fitting. Mom? Megan nodded toward the exit where Olivia stood, looking uncertain. Go ahead, I said to Lucas and Pauline. We'll meet you at the reception. Olivia approached as the room emptied. She'd lost the careful polish I remembered, looked younger somehow. More real. I didn't expect to be written so fairly, she said. The truth was dramatic enough without embellishment. Nathan called me yesterday, asked me to tell you he's sorry. Of course he did, I smiled. Still casting others in his scenes? He's different now, smaller somehow. That's what happens when you step out of the spotlight and into yourself. Megan stood. We should go. The critics will want interviews. Olivia touched my arm. For what it's worth, I'm sorry too. Not just for the affair, but for not seeing what he was doing to both of us, making us compete for supporting roles in his story. Keep that insight, I said. It'll make you a better actress. At the reception, champagne flowed while early reviews rolled in. Brutally honest. A masterclass in understated revenge. A meditation on authenticity in an age of performance. Lucas raised his glass. To your next screenplay? Actually, I pulled out my phone, showed him the email I'd received that morning. The theater department at Megan's future college wants me to teach a workshop about writing truth in fiction. Mom's going to help me adapt my college application essay into a one-act play, Megan added, about watching your heroes become human. Pauline joined us, brandishing her tablet. Social media's exploding. Nathan's trending, but not how he would have wanted. People are sharing their own stories of betrayal and redemption. That's the thing about truth, I said. It echoes. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. Watching it now. You made me better than I deserved. I showed Megan the message. She read it, then deleted it. Some performances don't need an encore. Later, walking home through city streets, I remembered that first text I'd found on Nathan's phone, the one that started everything. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. Last night was magical. Love you. Such simple words, such devastating power, like the words I'd written in response, scenes and dialogue that had transformed my pain into purpose. What are you thinking about? Megan asked. The difference between revenge and justice. And? Revenge is what we imagine will heal us. Justice is what actually does. She linked her arm through mine. Is that why you didn't destroy him completely? You could have made him the villain. The best stories don't have villains, I said. Just people failing to be their best selves, sometimes spectacularly. We reached our front door. Through the window, I could see my laptop on the coffee table, waiting. Another screenplay taking shape in my mind, this one about mothers and daughters and the stories we inherit. Ready to work on that one act? I asked. Megan grinned. Only if you promise to be honest about how you really felt. No performing. Deal. I opened the door to our house, our future, our truth. Though sometimes the most authentic thing we can do is admit we're still rehearsing. The night air carried the faint sound of applause from the reception. But I was already thinking about tomorrow's scenes, tomorrow's words, tomorrow's truths. Some stories end with revenge, others with redemption. The best ones end with possibility. The next act waiting in the wings, raw and real and ready to begin.
The text message from my father landed like a bomb. Had to sell your Honda to cover Spencer's emergency. We'll make it up to you. Just like that, my car, the one I'd spent 3 years saving for while working 2 jobs, was gone. My hands trembled as I gripped my phone, fighting back tears in the middle of my office break room. My name is Andrea, and at 27, I thought I was past being surprised by my family's capacity to disappoint me. I was wrong. He did what? Ainsley's voice crackled through my phone as I paced the parking lot where my car should have been. That's not even legal. Did he forge your signature? The title was still in his name, I said, my voice hollow. He never transferred it after I paid him back. Said it was easier for insurance purposes. Call the police. And report what? That my daddy sold his own car? I kicked a loose piece of gravel, watching it skitter across the asphalt. Besides, you know how this goes. Spencer gets in trouble, Dad bails him out, and I'm expected to understand, because family helps family. My phone buzzed again. Spencer this time. Thanks, sis, really saved my ass. I'll pay you back ASAP. I barked out a laugh that sounded more like a sob. Sure you will, I muttered, thinking of the 3 other loans he'd never repaid. Want me to pick you up? Ainsley asked. We can go get drunk and plot your revenge. I need to handle this sober, I said, already walking toward the bus stop. I'm going to Dad's office. 20 minutes later, I stood in front of Barrett Morgan Financial Services, straightening my blazer. The receptionist's eyes widened when she saw me. Andrea, your father's with a client. I pushed past her, my heels clicking against the marble floor as I marched toward his office. Through the glass walls, I could see him laughing with some suit-clad investor. The door swung open under my hand. We need to talk. Dad's smile faltered. Andrea, I'm in a meeting. About my car. The words came out sharp enough to cut. The one you sold without my permission. The client cleared his throat awkwardly. Barrett, we can finish this later. After he left, Dad leaned back in his chair, adopting that patronizing expression I'd grown to hate. Honey, I know you're upset, but Spencer was in real trouble. Some very dangerous people. Stop! I held up my hand. I don't want to hear about Spencer's latest screw-up. I want to know how you're planning to make this right. Well, once Spencer pays me back. When has that ever happened? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. What about making things right with me? I paid for that car. And I'll help you get another one once things settle down. He shuffled some papers on his desk, clearly considering the matter closed. Maybe something more practical this time. The dismissal in his tone made something snap inside me. Where is Spencer now? Probably at home with Isabella. They're trying to work things out after this incident. You mean after he gambled away their rent money? Again? The pieces clicked together in my head. That's what this was about, wasn't it? His gambling debts? Dad's silence was answer enough. You know what? I said, suddenly eerily calm. Keep the car. Keep bailing him out. But remember this moment, Dad. Remember exactly how it felt to look me in the eye while choosing him over me. Again. Andrea, because one day things are going to change. And when they do, I want you to remember that you taught me exactly how much family loyalty is worth. I turned and walked out, ignoring his calls behind me. In the elevator, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls. Flushed cheeks, bright eyes, straight spine. I hardly recognized myself. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Honey, I just heard. Your father means well. I silenced the phone and shoved it in my pocket. The time for making excuses was over. If they wanted to treat me like I didn't matter, fine. I'd show them exactly what I was capable of when I stopped playing the dutiful daughter. At the bus stop, I pulled out my phone again and opened my banking app. The savings I'd been building toward a down payment on a house stared back at me. More than enough to hire a good lawyer. Time to make some changes, I muttered, already drafting an email to schedule a consultation. My father had taught me well about the importance of family and money, just not the lessons he'd intended. Let them think they'd won. Let them think I'd roll over and take it like always. They had no idea what was coming. The local library's genealogy section was eerily quiet as I spread out old property records across the wooden table. 3 days had passed since my car disappeared, and I'd called in sick to work, determined to find something, anything I could use. You really think there might be hidden assets? Ainsley whispered, scrolling through her laptop. She'd taken the afternoon off to help me dig through records. Dad's always been weird about the family history, I said, squinting at a faded deed. Every time Mom brought up selling the lake house, he'd get all mysterious and say there were complications. Speaking of complications, Ainsley turned her screen toward me. Your brother just posted on Instagram. He's at some casino with Isabella. I clenched my jaw. Of course he is. Probably spending whatever's left from selling my car. Want me to key his motorcycle? Because I totally will. No, I said, though the offer was tempting. I need something bigger. Something that'll make them both realize. I stopped, staring at a document dated 1952. Wait, look at this. Ainsley leaned over. The Riverside Estate? Never heard of it. That's because it's listed under my great-grandmother's maiden name. I pulled out my phone, Googling the address. It's this massive Victorian house just outside town. I remember Dad pointing it out once when I was little, saying it was part of our heritage. And according to this, it passed down through the female line, which means, holy shit. Ainsley's eyes widened. You think you might have a claim to it? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Mom's face appeared on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. Andrea, are you coming to dinner tonight? Your father wants to talk. Can't, Mom. Working late. The lie came easily now. He feels terrible about the car. He's trying to figure out how to make it up to you. By letting Spencer gamble away more money? The words came out sharper than intended. Your brother's going through a rough time. Aren't we all? I cut her off, noticing other library patrons glancing our way. Look, I have to go. I'll call you later. Ainsley waited until I hung up. You know what you need? A lawyer, a good one, who specializes in property law. I can't afford. Actually, she interrupted, turning her laptop again. You can. I found someone perfect. Archer Ortiz. Young, hungry for cases, and has a thing for digging up old property claims. His consultation fee is reasonable, too. I studied the professional headshot on the law firm's website. Archer looked competent, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression. What's the worst that could happen? Ainsley pressed. You waste a consultation fee and find out there's nothing there? At least you'll know? 2 hours later, I sat in Archer's office, watching him review the documents I'd found. Interesting, he murmured, adjusting his glasses. Very interesting. The property transfer clause is unusual for that time period. Your great-grandmother was quite forward-thinking. So there might be something here? He looked up, and I caught a glint of excitement in his eyes. More than something. Based on these records, you have a legitimate claim to the estate. The property's been in legal limbo since your grandmother's death, but the inheritance clause is clear. It passes to the eldest female descendant. That's me, I whispered. That's you, he confirmed, though there are complications. Back taxes, maintenance costs, potential competing claims. From my brother? Possibly, though his claim would be weaker. The real challenge will be proving continuous family connection and handling the tax situation. He leaned forward. But if you're willing to fight for this, I believe we can win. My heart raced. How long would it take? A few months, maybe less if we move quickly and quietly. He paused. Does your family know you're looking into this? I thought of Spencer at the casino, of Dad in his office dismissing my feelings. No, and I'd like to keep it that way. Smart, Archer nodded. The element of surprise can be valuable in cases like this. I'll need a retainer to start working. Done, I said, pulling out my checkbook. Whatever it takes. As I left his office, my phone buzzed with a text from Spencer. Hey sis, can you spot me some cash? Just temporary? I smiled, thinking of the estate documents in my bag. Sorry, I typed back. All my money's tied up in investments right now. For once, I wasn't even lying. This was definitely an investment, in justice, in karma, and in finally teaching my family that their actions had consequences. Game on, I whispered, stepping into the elevator. The reflection of my smile in the mirrored walls looked almost predatory. $37,000 in back taxes? I stared at the documents spread across Archer's desk. That's more than I have in savings. Plus, another $15,000 in administrative fees. Archer tapped his pen against the paperwork. The good news is, I've confirmed your claim is valid. The bad news is that I can't afford to claim it, I finished, slumping in my chair. Not necessarily. He pulled out another file. I did some digging into the property's current value. The estate sits on 5 acres of prime real estate. Conservative estimate? It's worth at least $2 million. My mouth went dry. $2 million? Minimum. The house needs work, but the location alone. He shrugged. Let's just say it would be worth finding a way to pay those taxes. A knock at the door interrupted us. Archer's assistant poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Someone else is requesting the estate records. My heart stopped. Who? She handed Archer a paper. His expression darkened. Your brother's girlfriend, Isabella. She was at the county records office this morning. That's impossible, I said, but my mind was already racing. Unless, Dad must have mentioned something to Spencer. This complicates things, Archer said. If they file a competing claim, they won't. I stood up, pacing. They can't afford the taxes either. Spencer's so deep in debt, he can barely afford rent. Unless your father helps them. The words hung in the air like smoke. Of course Dad would help them. He always did. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil. A text from Spencer. Hey sis, weird question. You know anything about great-grandma's old house? I showed Archer the message. What do I do? Don't respond, he advised. The less they know about your involvement, the better. But we need to move fast. He pulled out a calculator. If we can secure a loan for the taxes, I've got something better. I pulled up my banking app. My house down payment. It's not enough for all of it, but I might know an investor willing to front the rest, Archer said. For a percentage of the eventual sale, of course. Sale? That's what you're planning, right? Claim the estate? Sell it? Make a profit? I nodded slowly, an idea forming. Yeah, something like that. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Andrea, honey, your father wants to have a family meeting tonight. It's important. Can't make it, I texted back. Working late. It's about your great-grandmother's estate, she replied. Your father says you need to be there. I looked at Archer. They're moving faster than we thought. He checked his watch. My investor contact is free now. Want to make a call? 20 minutes later, we were on speakerphone with Robert, Archer's investor friend. His voice crackled through the line. 50,000 for a property worth $2 million? Count me in. But I want 30% of the sale price. 20, I countered, surprising myself with my firmness. 25, and I'll have the money transferred within the hour. I met Archer's eyes. He nodded slightly. Deal, I said. The next few hours were a blur of paperwork and signatures. By 4 o'clock, Archer was filing our claim with the county. What happens now? I asked, watching him stack the documents. Now? He smiled. Now we wait for the county to process our claim. Should take about a week. In the meantime, my phone interrupted again. Dad this time. Andrea, this is important. Be at the house by 7 tonight or you'll regret it. I showed Archer the message. Sounds like they're planning something. Let them plan, he said. Our paperwork is already filed. We're ahead of them. Unless... I hesitated. Unless Spencer has some claim I don't know about. Archer pulled out the original deed. The inheritance clause is specific, female line only. But, he frowned, studying a paragraph. There's something here about mutual beneficiaries if certain conditions are met. What conditions? It's unclear. The language is archaic, and part of the document is damaged. He looked up. Maybe you should go to that family meeting. See what they know? I checked the time. 2 hours until 7. If I go, I might tip our hand. Or you might get valuable information. He started packing up his briefcase. Just remember, don't sign anything, don't agree to anything, and most importantly, don't let them know what we've done today. I nodded, gathering my things. As I reached the door, Archer called out, Andrea, whatever happens tonight, remember, you're already ahead of them. You've got the legal high ground. I smiled, but my stomach was in knots. Let's hope that's enough. I didn't go to the family meeting. Instead, I sat in my apartment with Ainsley, watching my phone explode with messages while we worked on Plan B. They're losing their minds, Ainsley said, scrolling through my texts. Your dad sent like 15 messages. Oh, and Spencer's threatening to come over. Let him, I said, focusing on my laptop screen. I've got a potential buyer lined up for tomorrow. My phone started ringing. Dad again. I declined the call. You're really going to ghost them? Ainsley asked. Watch this. I opened my email and clicked send on a message I'd been drafting. Just informed Dad's secretary that I'm taking 2 weeks of personal leave from work, effective immediately. Bold move. What if he shows up at your apartment? That's why I'm not staying here. I closed my laptop. Already booked an Airbnb across town, near the estate, actually. My phone buzzed with another text. Isabella this time. Your brother's really upset. Why are you being so selfish? Selfish? I laughed, showing Ainsley the message. That's rich coming from Spencer's enabler-in-chief. A sharp knock at the door made us both jump. Andrea! Spencer's voice boomed through the wood. Open up! We need to talk! Ainsley raised an eyebrow. Want me to tell him to fuck off? No need. I grabbed my pre-packed overnight bag. The back exit leads to the parking garage. He can stand there all night for all I care. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a call from Mom. This time, I answered. Where are you? She demanded. Your father's furious. He says you're trying to steal your great-grandmother's property. Steal? I kept my voice calm. Funny, I didn't hear him complaining when he stole my car. That was different. You're right, Mom, it was different. That was illegal. What I'm doing is completely within my rights. But Spencer needs... I have to go. I cut her off. My lawyer's calling. It wasn't entirely a lie. Archer had just texted, buyer confirmed for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Bring ID and all documentation. The next morning, I sat across from Maria, a real estate developer with sharp eyes and a sharper suit. Archer sat beside me, reviewing the preliminary agreement. $2.5 million, Maria said, sliding the offer across the table. As is, no inspections required. I'll handle all renovation costs. I tried not to let my shock show. That was $500,000 more than we'd expected. The location is perfect for my new project, she continued, but I need to move fast. Today's offer expires at noon. Archer cleared his throat. My client needs assurance about the payment structure. Full amount in escrow by end of day, Maria replied. Released as soon as the title clears. Speaking of which, she glanced at her watch. I heard rumors about another potential claim. No valid claims exist, Archer assured her. We've verified the inheritance clause thoroughly. My phone vibrated. Dad again. You're making a huge mistake. That property belongs to the whole family. I turned the phone face down. I'm ready to sign. Maria smiled. Excellent. Though, she paused, reviewing a document. There is one small detail. The property's historical status requires any sale to be approved by all living descendants. A formality, really. What? I looked at Archer. You didn't mention this. It's a recent regulation, he said, frowning, but given your clear inheritance rights. I'll need signatures from all family members, Maria interrupted. By Friday, or I'll have to pursue other options. My heart sank. That's impossible. They'll never agree. Then make them agree, Maria said simply. $2.5 million is a lot of motivation. I'm sure you can figure something out. She stood, gathering her papers. You have until Friday. Don't waste my time. After she left, I turned to Archer. Now what? He was already pulling out his phone. Now we get creative. Your brother's in debt, right? How much? Last I heard, about $50,000. Why? Because, he said, a slight smile forming. I think it's time to buy some cooperation. How would you feel about helping your brother out of his gambling debts? You want me to bribe him? I want you to negotiate. There's more than enough money here to solve everyone's problems. He paused. If you're willing to play hardball. I thought about my car, about years of being the responsible one, about Dad's dismissive attitude. Hardball? I picked up my phone, starting to draft a message to Spencer. I can do hardball. Good, Archer said, because you've got 3 days to make this work. I hit send on the text. Want to clear your gambling debts? Meet me tomorrow. Come alone. The response was immediate. Where? I smiled, typing the address of my Airbnb. Time to negotiate, big brother. Spencer showed up looking worse than I'd expected. Dark circles under his eyes, rumpled clothes, that nervous energy I recognized from his previous rock-bottom moments. You look terrible, I said, letting him into the Airbnb. Yeah, well, loan sharks tend to have that effect. He paced the living room, running his hands through his hair. So what's this about? You said something about my debts? Sit down. I pointed to the couch. We need to talk business. Business? He laughed. Since when are you? 50,000, I interrupted. That's what you owe, right? To various unsavory characters? He stopped pacing. How did you? Doesn't matter. What matters is I can make it go away. I pulled out the sale agreement. All you have to do is sign this. Spencer grabbed the paper, eyes widening as he read. $2.5 million? Holy shit, Andrea. I need your signature, and Dad's, by Friday. Or what? Or the deal falls through, and you can explain to your loan sharks why you're missing another payment. He sank onto the couch. Dad's gonna lose it. He's been talking about turning that place into some family legacy project. Dad lost his right to make decisions about my property when he sold my car. I sat across from him. Besides, his legacy project is just another way to keep control. You know that. Maybe, but... His phone buzzed. He checked it, face paling. Shit. Loan sharks? He nodded. Show me. He handed over the phone. The message was brief. Payment by Friday, or we visit Isabella next. They know where she lives. I asked. They know everything. He put his head in his hands. God, I really fucked up this time. Sign the papers, I said. I'll have the money transferred to clear your debts within hours. Just like that? Just like that, I paused. But Spencer? This is it. The last bailout. After this, you're on your own. He stared at the papers for a long moment. Then, without a word, he grabbed a pen and signed. Now help me convince Dad, I said. He's not going to... My phone rang. Mom's name flashed on the screen. Andrea? Her voice was shaking. You need to come home, now. What's wrong? Your father. He had a panic attack. He's okay, she added quickly. But the doctor says it was stress-related. He keeps talking about the estate, about losing everything. I met Spencer's eyes. He looked as guilty as I felt. We'll be right there, I said. At the hospital, Mom was waiting in the hallway. She hugged Spencer first, then, to my surprise, pulled me into an even tighter embrace. He's awake, she said. But Andrea, I need to tell you something first. She led me to a quiet corner. The estate. There's more to it than you know. Your father, he's been using it as collateral, for loans, for the business. My stomach dropped. What? He never thought anyone would claim it. He's been borrowing against it for years. If it sells... She wrung her hands. The business could go under. Why didn't he tell me? Pride, shame, pick one. She touched my arm. I'm not saying what he did was right. With the car, with any of it. But you want me to fix it, I finished. I want you to talk to him. Really talk. No more games, no more secrets. From either of you. Dad looked small in the hospital bed. His face lit up when he saw Spencer, then fell when he saw me. Come to finish me off? He asked weakly. No, I said, pulling up a chair. I came to negotiate. Andrea, let me finish. I know about the loans. Mom told me. I took a deep breath. So here's the deal. I'm selling the estate. But I'm willing to structure it in a way that lets you keep the business afloat. His eyes widened. You'd do that? On 3 conditions. First, you sign the sale papers. Second, you help Spencer get into real gambling addiction treatment. And third, you acknowledge publicly to the whole family that what you did with my car was wrong, and you make it right. The room was silent for a long moment. Finally, Dad reached for my hand. When did you get so strong? He asked softly. I've always been strong, I replied. You just never noticed. He nodded slowly. Bring me the papers. As I left to get them from my car, I heard him say to Spencer, Your sister's right. It's time we both got our acts together. I paused in the hallway, letting out a shaky breath. This wasn't how I'd planned it, but maybe Mom was right. Maybe it was time for all the games to end. The money's been transferred, Archer said, sliding the confirmation across his desk. Your brother's debts are cleared, your father's business loans are restructured, and, he smiled, there's still plenty left for you. I stared at the number on the paper. Even after everything, it was more money than I'd ever seen in my life. First things first, I said, pulling up a website on my phone. I'm buying back my car. The same one? Better. I showed him the listing. The dealer's holding it for me, picking it up this afternoon. My phone buzzed. A text from Spencer. First therapy session done. Feels weird, but thanks. Your brother doing okay? Archer asked. Better than expected. The treatment center's good. Isabella's being supportive. I paused. Dad's even covering half the cost. Ah, speaking of your father. Archer pulled out another document. The business restructuring is complete. He can keep the company, though he'll be paying off those loans for a while. Good. I stood up. Time for the final piece. An hour later, I pulled into the dealership in my Uber. The salesman was waiting with keys in hand. She's all yours, he said, gesturing to the sleek black BMW. Want to take her for a spin? The leather seat felt like victory as I adjusted the mirrors. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Coming to dinner tonight? He asked. Your mother's making your favorite. Wouldn't miss it, I replied. And I'm bringing dessert. I had one more stop to make first. The storage facility was on the outskirts of town, its rows of orange doors baking in the afternoon sun. Unit 247 rolled up with a satisfying clang. Inside sat my old Honda, dusty but undamaged. Dad had stored it here after the sale, unable to actually get rid of it. Another thing he'd confessed in the hospital. I ran my hand along its familiar hood. Thanks for everything, old friend. Back home, I changed for dinner, taking extra care with my appearance. This wasn't just any family meal. This was the beginning of something new. Mom opened the door before I could knock. Andrea, is that a new car in the driveway? Part of my fresh start, I said, hugging her. Where's everyone? Living room. Spencer and Isabella are already here. I found them all exactly where I expected. Dad in his armchair, Spencer and Isabella on the couch, looking surprisingly clear-eyed and present. Nice wheels, sis, Spencer said. Way better than that old Honda. About that. Dad cleared his throat. Andrea, I have something for you. He pulled out an envelope. Inside was the title to my old Honda, now properly transferred to my name. I know it doesn't make up for everything, he said, but it's a start. Actually, I said, I have something for all of you too. I pulled out my own envelopes, one for each of them. Inside each was a check, carefully calculated to be fair, but not enabling. What's this? Isabella asked, eyes widening at the amount. Your share of the estate sale, I explained. After debts and everything else, I wanted to make sure everyone got something, but... I looked at Spencer. The money's in a trust, monthly payments only, contingent on continuing therapy. And mine? Dad asked, looking at his check. Enough to ease the loan payments, not enough to risk the lessons learned. I turned to Mom. Yours is unconditional. You've earned it. Andrea. Mom's eyes were wet. This is too much. No, I said firmly. It's exactly right. And speaking of right, I pulled out my car keys, both sets. Dad, the Honda's going to a women's shelter. They help people start over. Seemed fitting. He nodded slowly. You've thought of everything, haven't you? I learned from the best, I said. You taught me about money and power, just not the way you intended. And now? Spencer asked. What happens now? Now we eat, Mom announced. Perfect timing as always. And maybe we start over? As we moved to the dining room, I caught Dad wiping his eyes. You know, he said quietly, I've never been more proud of you than I am right now. Even though I outmaneuvered you? Especially because of that. He squeezed my shoulder. You're stronger than both of us men in this family. Always have been. Speaking of strength, I said, pass the potatoes. I'm starving. The laughter around the table felt real for the first time in years. Not perfect, not completely healed, but real. Sometimes I realized revenge isn't about destroying people. Sometimes it's about forcing them to be better. And sometimes, just sometimes, it comes with a really nice car. 3 months after the estate sale, I stood in front of the old Victorian house one last time. The demolition was scheduled for tomorrow. Maria's new development project was moving forward right on schedule. Feels weird, doesn't it? Spencer said, walking up beside me. He looked healthier now, clear-eyed, steady on his feet. 3 months of therapy had done wonders. Yeah, I admitted, but good weird. Remember when Dad used to drive us past here? Tell us all those stories about great-grandma? The fearless matriarch, I quoted, mimicking Dad's dramatic tone. Who built an empire from nothing? Turns out he was right about that part. Spencer kicked at a loose stone. Just not the way he thought. My phone buzzed. A text from Isabella. Meeting still on for lunch. Big news to share? Your girlfriend's getting impatient, I said, showing him the message. He grinned, patting his jacket pocket. Yeah, well, proposing tends to make people nervous. What? I grabbed his arm. You're going to… Assuming you approve? He pulled out a small velvet box. After everything, felt right to ask you first. I opened the box. The ring was modest but beautiful, exactly Isabella's style. You used the trust money for this? Nope. His chest puffed up slightly. Saved it from my new job. Turns out accounting is actually interesting when you're not gambling away the profits. Look at you, all grown up. I punched his arm lightly. Dad knows? Telling him tonight. Mom's already planning the wedding in her head. Another car pulled up, Dad's Mercedes. He got out slowly, still moving carefully since the hospital. Thought I'd find you both here, he said, joining us at the fence. One last look? Something like that, I said. He stared at the house, hands in his pockets. You know, your great-grandmother would have approved of all of this. The sale? The way you handled it. Strong, smart, but fair. He turned to me. I found her old journals in the office. She was a lot like you. Dad. No, let me finish. I spent years trying to preserve some imagined legacy when the real legacy was right in front of me. He looked at Spencer. Both of you, in your own ways. Speaking of legacy, Spencer said, fidgeting with the ring box in his pocket. Dad's eyes caught the movement. Is that what I think it is? Maybe? Spencer pulled out the box. I was going to tell you tonight, but… Dad's face lit up. Son, that's… Wait. He narrowed his eyes. You can afford this? He saved up, I said proudly. Legitimately. Well then. Dad cleared his throat, clearly emotional. I suppose we have something to celebrate. 2 things, actually, I said. I got the final paperwork today. The women's shelter officially owns the Honda. They're already using it to help women get to job interviews. 3 things, Spencer corrected. Tell him about your promotion, sis. Dad's eyebrows rose. Promotion? Senior financial analyst, I said. Different firm, better pay, starts next month. Not staying with the family business? I think we all need some healthy boundaries, I said carefully. Besides, you've got Spencer learning the ropes now. Part-time, Spencer added quickly, while I finish my accounting certification. Dad looked between us, shaking his head in wonder. When did my kids get so… competent? I suggested. Impressive, he corrected. I'm sorry it took all this for me to see it. A construction worker approached the fence. Sorry, folks, need to clear the area. Demolition prep starting soon. We took one last look at the house. In the fading light, it almost seemed to wink at us, like it knew its job was done. Dinner at our place? Dad offered. Your mother's dying to use that new kitchen she insisted on renovating with her share. Can't, Spencer said. Got a lunch thing with Isabella. He winked at me. I'll come, I said, but I'm driving myself. Dad laughed. In that fancy new BMW? Show off. Learned from the best, I teased. Race you there? Not a chance, but I'll follow your lead. He squeezed my shoulder. I'm getting pretty good at that. As we walked to our cars, I heard the construction crew starting their work. The old house would be gone tomorrow, but its final gift, the way it had forced us all to confront our truths and grow, would last forever. Hey, Dad, I called out. Thanks for selling my car. He stopped, startled, then saw my smile. Thanks for making me pay for it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just growing strong enough to change the game entirely. The autumn breeze carried the sound of laughter from Mom's new kitchen as I pulled into the driveway. Spencer and Isabella's engagement party was in full swing, though I'd slipped out earlier for a private errand. There you are, Ainsley called from the porch. Did you get it? I patted my bag. Mission accomplished. Inside, the house hummed with conversation and clinking glasses. Isabella was showing off her ring to relatives while Spencer chatted with his therapy group friends, a sight that still amazed me. Andrea! Dad waved me over to his new favorite spot, a simple armchair by the window. No longer the imposing throne-like seat he used to occupy. Where'd you disappear to? Had to pick something up. I sat on the arm of his chair. Actually, I have an announcement to make. He raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? For once. No. Mom appeared with fresh appetizers. Everyone! Andrea has something to say. As the room quieted, I pulled out a folder from my bag. So, remember that women's shelter that got my old Honda? Nods around the room. Well, they needed more than just one car. They needed a whole program. Driving lessons, car maintenance workshops, a proper fleet of vehicles. I opened the folder. So, I started one. What? Spencer moved closer, Isabella at his side. The Morgan Women's Mobility Foundation, I said, showing them the incorporation papers. Using part of my estate money as seed funding. But, I turned to Dad, I need a business partner, someone with experience running a successful company. Dad's eyes widened. Me? As a consultant only, I clarified. It's my show to run. But I could use your expertise. The right way this time. He took the papers with trembling hands. This is incredible. But why tell everyone now? Because, I said, pulling out more documents, I want the whole family involved. Mom's great at organization. Spencer's got his accounting skills. Isabella's amazing with people. I handed out role descriptions I'd drafted. If you want to be part of it, that is. Part of it? Mom wiped her eyes. Honey, you're building a legacy, a real one. Better than some old house, Spencer added. Speaking of the house, I pulled out my phone, showing them Maria's latest email. The developer found something during demolition, a hidden room with more of great-grandma's journals. What did they say? Isabella asked. Haven't read them yet. Thought maybe we could do it together? I looked at Dad. Learn about our real family history? He nodded, emotion clear on his face. I'd like that. First entry? I pulled out one journal, already bookmarked. It's about her car. Apparently, great-grandpa tried to sell it to cover his brother's debts. No way, Spencer laughed. Way. Want to know what she did? Tell us. Isabella leaned forward. She took both their cars, sold them herself, and used the money to start her first business venture. I grinned at Dad. Sound familiar? He shook his head, chuckling. So that's where you get it from. The best part? I continued. She made them take public transit for a year while she built her company. Called it character building. The room erupted in laughter. Even Dad joined in. To Andrea, Spencer raised his glass, for teaching us all about character. To family, Mom added, the kind we choose to be. To great-grandma, I said, who knew sometimes the best revenge is success. Later, as guests began to leave, Dad pulled me aside. You know, I kept one of your car's old parking tickets. Framed it in my office. Why? To remind me of the day my daughter outmaneuvered me. Best business lesson I ever learned. He hugged me. I'm so proud of who you've become. Even though I'm not following your path? Because you made your own. That's what real legacy looks like. Mom called us for cleanup duty, and as we all pitched in, Spencer and Isabella washing dishes, Mom directing traffic, Dad and me handling leftovers, I realized something profound. This was what I'd really won. Not money or property or even revenge. I'd won my family back, not as they were, but as they could be. Better, stronger, more honest. Hey, sis, Spencer called from the sink. Remember when you said game on? Yeah? He smiled. Game over. You won. No, I corrected, looking around at my transformed family. We all did. Sometimes the biggest victories come not from defeating your opponents, but from changing the game so completely that everyone has a chance to win. And sometimes, just sometimes, the car that drives you forward isn't the one in your driveway. It's the one that carries your whole family towards something better.
The sound of shattering glass pierced the midnight silence, followed by my mother's muffled scream. I jolted upright in bed, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the thin walls of our suburban home, their voices carried like thunder. "You're drunk, Mike. Give me the keys." Mom's voice trembled. "Don't tell me what to do, Rachel. I pay the bills in this house." I pressed my palms against my ears, but it didn't help. 3 years of this, 3 years of watching Mom bend to his will, of enduring his subtle cruelty, of pretending everything was fine. I'm Gianna, and this is the night everything changed. Heavy footsteps stomped up the stairs. I held my breath, praying he wouldn't stop at my door. He always seemed to know when I was awake, always had some cutting remark ready. The footsteps passed, and a door slammed somewhere down the hall. More crashes followed. Mom's pleading grew louder, more desperate. "Think about the girls, please. Just sleep it off." "The girls?" He laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "You mean your precious Sophia and that other one?" That other one. That's what I'd become in my own home. I crept to my window, watching as Mike stumbled out the front door, keys jangling in his hand. Mom stood in the doorway, clutching her robe around her shoulders. The whiskey bottle in his grip caught the streetlight, gleaming like a warning. "Mike, please," her voice cracked. He turned, swaying slightly. "You know what your problem is, Rachel? You're too soft on her. That's why she's turning out just like her father. Worthless." The word hit me like a physical blow. Dad had been gone 5 years, but Mike never missed a chance to tarnish his memory. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, watching Mike climb into his truck. The engine roared to life. Mom disappeared inside, probably to check on Sophia, her perfect 14-year-old who could do no wrong. I remained at the window, counting the seconds until Mike's truck disappeared around the corner. 3 minutes later, the screech of tires split the night. Metal crunched against metal, followed by an explosion of breaking glass. Then silence, a different kind of silence than before, heavier, final. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. I stood frozen, unable to move from my spot by the window. Red and blue lights began to flash against the houses down the street. Mom's footsteps pounded up the stairs. "Gianna!" She burst into my room without knocking. "Did you call them? Did you call the police?" I shook my head, still staring out the window. "No." Her hand gripped my shoulder, fingers digging in. "If anyone asks, he was fine when he left. Do you understand? He was completely sober." I turned to face her, really looking at her for the first time in years. Her mascara had run, leaving dark tracks down her cheeks, but her eyes were hard, calculating. "Mom, what are you—" "Promise me, Gianna." Her nails bit deeper. "Promise me you'll say he was sober." In that moment, I saw something shift in her eyes, something cold and foreign. This wasn't about protecting Mike. This was about protecting herself, her perfect little world with Sophia. I was just a loose end that needed tying up. "I promise," I whispered, the lie bitter on my tongue. She released my shoulder and hurried out, already on her phone. I touched the spots where her nails had left marks, knowing they would bruise. Just like everything else in this house, the truth would be hidden, covered up, denied. But as I watched the emergency lights paint our neighborhood in alternating red and blue, something hardened inside me. This was the moment, the last time I would let them bury their secrets at my expense. They had no idea what they'd just created. The sirens grew louder, and I smiled. 3 days after Mike's accident, I stood in our kitchen, watching Mom arrange finger sandwiches on a silver platter. Her hands moved with mechanical precision, each triangle perfectly aligned. The house smelled of lemon polish and fresh-baked cookies, her armor against gossip and judgment. "The police called again," I said, testing the waters. She didn't look up. "I handled it." Of course she had. Just like she'd handled the whiskey bottle that mysteriously vanished from the crash site. just like she'd handled the neighbors' questions with practiced tears and calculated grief. The doorbell chimed. Mom straightened, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her black dress. "Remember what we discussed?" "He was completely sober," I echoed, the words acid in my mouth. Grandmother Nancy swept in first, her silver hair immaculate despite the August heat. Behind her, Grandfather Henry carried a casserole dish, his engineer's eyes taking in every detail of our pristine kitchen. "Rachel, darling." Nancy embraced Mom, their perfumes clashing in a suffocating cloud. "How are you holding up?" "As well as can be expected." Mom's voice cracked perfectly. I stood back, watching the performance. Henry caught my eye and gave me a slight nod, the only acknowledgement I'd get. Once, he'd been different. Once, he'd taught me chess and physics and how to fix a carburetor. But that was before Mike, before Mom's careful redesign of our family dynamics. "Sophia's upstairs," Mom said. "Probably needs help with her dress." Nancy hurried up to assist the favorite grandchild, while Henry busied himself arranging chairs for the wake. I moved to help him, but Mom's hand shot out, gripping my wrist. "The police report comes out tomorrow," she whispered. "If anyone asks." "I know, Mom, I know." She released me, leaving red marks on my skin. "Good girl." The house filled quickly with mourners, Mike's co-workers, church friends, neighbors. They moved in circles, murmuring practiced condolences between bites of those perfect sandwiches. I drifted between groups, catching fragments of conversation. "Such a tragedy. Never saw him drink before. Poor Rachel, left alone again." Sophia floated down the stairs in a new black dress, Nancy hovering protectively. My sister's eyes were red and puffy, genuine grief for the only father she'd ever known. She didn't understand yet. She hadn't seen the truth behind his gentle smiles and playful nicknames. "Gianna." Henry appeared beside me, his voice low. "A moment?" We stepped onto the back porch, away from the performance inside. The August air pressed against us like a wool blanket. "Your mother seems—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Composed." "She's good at that." He studied me, lines deepening around his eyes. "The police report will say exactly what she wants it to say." I met his gaze. "Won't it?" Something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe, or recognition. He opened his mouth to respond, but Mom's voice cut through the screen door. "Dad, could you help with the coffee service?" He hesitated, then squeezed my shoulder. The gesture felt like an apology, though I wasn't sure for what. "Not yet." Back inside, I found Mom in the kitchen, methodically loading a coffee tray. Her mascara remained perfect, not a single tear track marring her performance. "The insurance adjuster called," she said, without looking up. "They'll need statements from all of us." "All of us?" "Yes." She finally met my eyes. "And we need to be consistent, for Sophia's sake." There it was, the weapon she'd always wielded so effectively. For Sophia's sake, for the family's sake, for appearance's sake, always a greater good to justify the lies. "What about for my sake?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. She set down the coffee pot with deliberate care. "Your sake? You're 17, Gianna. Almost an adult. Sophia's just 14. She needs stability, security." "And what do I need?" "You need to understand your place in this family." Her voice hardened. "And right now, that means supporting our story. Unless you want your sister to lose everything." The threat hung between us, clear as crystal. I thought of Sophia upstairs, innocent and grieving. I thought of the police report, the insurance money, the carefully constructed facade that would keep our comfortable life intact. "I understand," I said, and watched relief flash across her face. She didn't realize I meant something entirely different. She didn't see that with each manipulation, each careful lie, she was teaching me exactly how to destroy her world. I smiled and picked up the coffee tray. I'll help serve the guests, Mom. After all, I'd learned from the best how to play a role. The bank statement sat on my desk like a loaded gun. I'd found it while searching for my birth certificate. Mom's idea of organization meant stuffing important papers into random drawers. But this wasn't just any statement. This was my college fund, the one Dad had set up before he died. The balance showed zero. My hands trembled as I traced the withdrawal history. Every month for the past 3 years, small amounts disappeared. Death by 1,000 cuts. The final withdrawal, $15,000, had been made 2 days after Mike's accident. A knock at my door made me jump. Gianna? Sophia's voice, sweet and unsuspecting. Mom wants to know if you're coming down for dinner. Not hungry. My voice sounded strange, distant. But we're celebrating. Mom got the insurance check today. Of course she did. The police report had worked its magic just as she'd planned. I folded the bank statement carefully, tucking it into my jacket pocket. Downstairs, laughter drifted from the dining room. I descended slowly, each step bringing their voices into sharper focus. And then we can finally renovate the kitchen, Mom was saying. Granite countertops, new appliances. I paused in the doorway. They looked like a perfect family tableau. Mom at the head of the table, Sophia beside her, sharing identical smiles. A bottle of expensive champagne sat open between them. Well, look who decided to join us. Mom's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. We're celebrating. I can see that. I remained standing, one hand touching the paper in my pocket. The insurance company made their decision? They did. She poured another glass of champagne. Everything's going to be fine now, better than fine. Is that what the $15,000 was for? Making everything fine? The champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. Sophia looked between us, confusion clouding her features. What $15,000? She asked. Nothing, sweetie. Mom set down her glass with careful precision. Gianna, could we discuss this privately? Why? Isn't this a family celebration? I pulled out the bank statement. Let's celebrate how you've been stealing from my college fund for 3 years. Color drained from her face. That money was for emergencies, like kitchen renovations. What's going on? Sophia's voice trembled. Mom's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. Gianna is upset about some financial decisions I had to make as her mother. Decisions she's too young to understand. I understand perfectly. The words felt like acid. You've been planning this since Mike died. The police report, the insurance claim, all of it. And my college fund was just collateral damage, right? You don't know what you're talking about. Her voice hardened. I've done everything to keep this family together. This isn't a family, it's a performance. Sophia burst into tears and ran upstairs. Mom's facade cracked completely, revealing raw fury beneath. How dare you? She stood, gripping the table. After everything I've sacrificed. Sacrificed? I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised even me. You sacrificed my future to cover up Mike's drunk driving. You sacrificed the truth to protect your reputation. The only thing you haven't sacrificed is your precious control. I did what I had to do. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. And if you think anyone will believe you over me, you're sadly mistaken. I'm still your legal guardian. That money was mine to manage. Was the whiskey bottle yours to hide too? She slapped me. The sound echoed in the sudden silence. My cheek burned, but something else burned hotter. Certainty. This moment had been coming for years, since the first time she chose appearances over truth. "I'm sorry," she whispered, reaching for me. "I didn't mean—" I stepped back. "Yes, you did. You always mean it. Every lie, every manipulation, every choice that protected you instead of me. But you made one mistake." "What's that?" Her voice was barely audible. I held up my phone, recording light blinking. "You taught me too well." The color drained from her face as understanding dawned. I turned and walked away, her calls following me up the stairs. But I didn't stop, couldn't stop. The truth had momentum now, and I finally knew how to use it. In my room, I sent the recording to my email, then opened my laptop. The cursor blinked on a blank document, waiting. I began to type. "The thing about perfect families is that they're built on perfect lies." Miss Lily's classroom felt different after hours, like a confessional booth without the pretense of absolution. I sat at my usual desk, the recorded conversation with Mom playing through my phone's tinny speaker. Each word felt sharper in the empty room. "Your writing has always been honest," Miss Lily said when the recording ended. "But this—" She tapped her fingers against her desk, searching for words. "This is something else entirely. It's evidence." I switched off the phone. "I just don't know what to do with it yet." She studied me with that penetrating gaze that had first spotted my talent freshman year. "Sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones we publish, Gianna. They're the ones we use to understand ourselves." "I understand perfectly." My voice came out harder than intended. "My mother stole my future to protect her lies." "Did she?" Miss Lily leaned forward. "Or did she steal your past to protect her own?" Before I could respond, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Through the classroom window, I glimpsed Rachel's perfectly styled hair, her designer handbag. My stomach dropped. "Hide," Miss Lily mouthed, gesturing toward the supply closet. I slipped inside just as Rachel entered, the scent of her expensive perfume preceding her. "Lily," Mom's voice dripped honey-coated venom. "We need to talk about Gianna's latest writing assignment." "Of course." Miss Lily's tone remained professional. Her piece about family secrets was quite compelling. It was inappropriate and potentially damaging. To whom? From my hiding spot, I could see through the slats in the closet door. Mom placed both hands on Miss Lily's desk, leaning forward. "You've been encouraging her, haven't you? Feeding this obsession with exposing private matters?" "I encourage all my students to write their truth." "Truth?" Mom laughed softly. "You want to talk about truth, Lily? Should we discuss why you really transferred to this school 3 years ago?" The air seemed to crystallize. Miss Lily's face went perfectly still. "That's not relevant, isn't it? A promising career at St. Margaret's, suddenly derailed by— what was it again? An inappropriate relationship with a student's parent?" My breath caught. Miss Lily's hands trembled slightly as she gathered some papers. "You should leave, Rachel." "I will, but first, you're going to stop encouraging my daughter's little revenge fantasy. Otherwise, certain old rumors might resurface." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting my family." Mom straightened, adjusting her perfectly pressed blazer. "Something you wouldn't understand." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and Gianna, you can come out of the closet now." My blood froze. She'd known I was there the whole time. I stepped out, legs shaking. Miss Lily wouldn't meet my eyes. "Let's go home," Mom said. "We have a lot to discuss." "No?" The word surprised even me. She raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" I said no. I moved to stand beside Miss Lily's desk. "You can't keep silencing people with their secrets, can I?" She smiled, that terrible knowing smile. "Sweetheart, secrets are the only currency that matters. Ask your teacher." I turned to Miss Lily, hoping for, what? Support? Denial? But she just stared at her desk, defeated. "I'll see you at home," Mom said, victory in every syllable. She left, her heels clicking down the hallway like a countdown. The silence stretched between Miss Lily and me, filled with unspoken questions. "Is it true?" I finally asked, not the way she implied. Miss Lily's voice was barely audible, but enough of it to matter. I nodded slowly, understanding blooming like a bruise. She's been collecting secrets, hasn't she? Not just mine, everyone's. "Gianna," she finally looked up, her eyes tired but determined. "Whatever you're planning, be careful. Your mother, she's better at this game than you know." I touched my phone, thinking of the recording, of my journal full of carefully documented lies. Maybe, but she taught me how to play it. Walking home, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about my college fund anymore, or even Mike's accident. This was about every secret she'd used as a weapon, every truth she'd twisted to maintain control. I pulled out my phone and opened a new document. At the top, I typed, "A list of secrets that could burn everything down." Below that, I wrote the first entry. "My mother is a collector of other people's shame, and I'm about to become her curator." My blog post went live at midnight. By morning, the comments section exploded. I'd changed the names, twisted the details just enough to maintain plausible deniability, but anyone who knew our family would recognize the truth beneath the fiction. A daughter discovers her mother's secret vault of stolen futures. The words glowed on my screen, a digital match thrown onto carefully gathered kindling. My phone buzzed. Grandmother Nancy's number. I let it ring through to voicemail, then again and again. On the fourth call, I answered. "Have you lost your mind?" Her voice trembled. "That story? People are talking, Gianna." "Good." I kept my tone neutral. "Stories are meant to be shared. Your mother called me in tears. She thinks she knows exactly what I'm doing." I watched a new comment appear. "This reminds me of the Matthews family scandal." "And so do you." The silence stretched between us like a tightrope. Finally, she whispered, "You don't understand what you're risking." "Actually, I do. Mom made that very clear when she threatened Miss Lily." A sharp intake of breath. "What does Lily have to do with this?" "Why don't you ask Mom? She seems to know everyone's secrets." The doorbell rang downstairs. Through my bedroom window, I spotted Grandfather Henry's car in the driveway. "We're coming over," Nancy said. "Don't post anything else until we talk." I hung up and opened my laptop to the draft of my next story. The grandmother who watched in silence. My finger hovered over the publish button. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. Mom burst in without knocking, her face flushed. "Take it down, now." "Or what?" I met her gaze. "You'll threaten me like you threatened Miss Lily? You have no idea what you're doing." She gripped the door frame. "The Matthews family. They're calling, asking questions about Mike's accident." "Isn't that what you wanted? People asking questions? Not these questions." Her composure cracked. "Not now, not when." "When what?" Nancy and Henry appeared behind her, both looking older than I'd ever seen them. "Tell her," Henry said quietly. "She needs to know." Mom's laugh held an edge of hysteria. "Know what? That her little revenge fantasy could cost us everything? That the Matthews family lawyer is reviewing Mike's accident report? Rachel!" Henry's voice carried a warning. I looked between them, sensing something deeper, darker. "What aren't you telling me?" "Nothing." Mom straightened, mask sliding back into place. "Just take down the post." "No." I opened my phone's recording app. "Not until you tell me what the Matthews family has to do with Mike's accident." The color drained from Mom's face. Nancy stepped forward, reaching for me. "Sweetheart, some things are better left." He was having an affair, Henry cut in, with Janet Matthews. The room went silent. Mom's hands shook as she turned on him. Dad, don't. Mike was driving to Janet's house that night, he continued. That's why Rachel had to handle things. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. The missing whiskey bottle, the cleaned-up accident scene, the carefully crafted police report. You didn't just cover up his drunk driving, I said slowly. You covered up where he was going, who he was meeting. I protected this family. Mom's voice cracked. I protected you and Sophia from the truth. No, I stood, anger burning through my veins. You protected yourself, your reputation, your perfect little life. Gianna, please. Nancy reached for my laptop. Delete the post before. I snatched it away, backing toward my window. Before what? Before people realize everything in this family is built on lies? You want to talk about lies? Mom's eyes narrowed. Should we discuss your father's accident? The real reason he was driving that night. The threat in her voice made my blood run cold. What about my father? She smiled, that terrible knowing smile. Take down the post, Gianna, or the next story I tell might be about him. I looked at my grandparents, seeing the guilt in their eyes. More secrets, more lies, always more. My phone buzzed with another comment notification. This story feels familiar. Wasn't there another accident 5 years ago? I turned back to my laptop and clicked publish on the second post. Let them all burn. No more silence, I said. No more secrets. Mom's face hardened into something I didn't recognize. Then let the truth destroy us all. The school library hummed with whispers as I walked in. Conversations stopped, then resumed in hushed tones. My blog posts had done their work. Everyone knew, or thought they knew, the truth about my family. Janet Matthews sat at a corner table, her designer handbag placed precisely beside her coffee cup. She looked up as I approached, her perfectly manicured fingers drumming against the table's surface. You're braver than I expected, she said. I slid into the chair across from her. Or more desperate. Your mother called me last night. Janet's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She had quite an interesting theory about why you're doing this. I'm sure she did. She mentioned your father's accident. Janet leaned forward. Said you might be interested in certain details. My heart stuttered, but I kept my face neutral. What details? The kind that could destroy more than just your mother's reputation. She pulled out a manila envelope. The kind that make your stepfather's indiscretions seem almost innocent in comparison. Before I could respond, Sophia appeared between the bookshelves, her face tear-stained. Is it true? About Dad, Mike, and Mrs. Matthews? The envelope suddenly felt like a live wire between us. Janet's smile widened fractionally. Sophia, I started. Don't. My sister's voice cracked. Just don't. Mom told me everything about your blog, your recordings, how you're trying to hurt us because you're jealous. That's not. She showed me the letter. Sophia's words hit like physical blows. The one from Dad, our real dad, about why he was really driving that night, about what you did. The room tilted sideways. What letter? Janet slid the envelope closer. Perhaps you should read it yourself. My hands shook as I opened it. The paper inside was aged, the handwriting achingly familiar. Rachel, I can't keep covering for her. The drinking, the pills, the nights she disappears. She's 17, just like Gianna is now. If anything happens to her, it'll be my fault for enabling this. I'm driving out to look for her again. If you're reading this, the date, the night of his accident, the night he died looking for me. No. I pushed back from the table. This isn't. She's lying. Mom said you'd say that. Sophia wiped her eyes. She said you've been lying so long, you probably believe your own stories. Janet gathered her things with deliberate slowness. Quite the twist, isn't it? The storyteller becoming the villain of her own tale. Students watched as I stumbled toward the exit. Their whispers followed like shadows. Heard she was high when her dad crashed. Makes sense why her mom remarried so fast. Probably made up everything about Mike, too. Miss Lily caught my arm in the hallway. Gianna, wait, I jerked away. Did you know about the letter? Your mother showed it to me this morning. Her eyes held something worse than pity, understanding. She said if I didn't distance myself from you, she'd make sure everyone knew about my past, and yours. The walls closed in, everything I'd written, every secret I'd exposed, every weapon I'd crafted. Mom had turned them all back on me. She'd been playing a longer game, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal her trump card. My phone buzzed with notifications. The comments on my blog had shifted. Sounds like someone's projecting their own guilt. Maybe we should hear the mother's side. Starting to question everything she wrote. Sophia's voice echoed down the hall. I hate you for what you did to Dad. I ran, past the whispers, past the stairs, past the carefully constructed web of truth and lies until I reached the parking lot. Rain fell in sheets, soaking through my clothes as I gasped for air. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Come home when you're ready to tell the truth. All of it. The truth. What was truth anymore? Every story had multiple versions, every memory its dark twin. Had I been so focused on exposing others' lies that I'd buried my own? I opened my blog dashboard with trembling fingers. Every post, every carefully crafted revelation, now read like a confession of a different kind. My finger hovered over the delete button. Behind me, Janet's car pulled out of the parking lot. Through the rain-streaked window, I caught a glimpse of her speaking on the phone, probably to Mom. They'd orchestrated this perfectly. The public revelation, Sophia's appearance, the letter. I'd thought I was the spider, weaving a web to trap them all. But I'd been the fly all along. Grandfather Henry's study smelled of old books and betrayal. He sat behind his desk, hands trembling as he pulled out a weathered shoebox. Nancy stood by the window, her reflection fractured in the rain-streaked glass. We should have told you years ago, Henry said, placing the box between us. Inside lay a stack of letters, photographs, and a small leather diary. My father's handwriting jumped out from yellowed pages, not just the single letter Mom had used against me, but dozens more. Your father wasn't looking for you that night. Henry's voice cracked. He was running from what he'd discovered about Rachel. Nancy turned sharply. Henry, don't. She deserves the truth, all of it. The study door opened. Mom stood there, still wearing her work clothes, her face a mask of controlled fury. What truth would that be, Dad? The one you buried with David. He pulled out a photograph. Along with this, the image showed Mom outside a motel, arguing with a man I didn't recognize. The date stamp read 1 week before Dad's accident. You were blackmailing him, Henry said, just like you've blackmailed everyone else. David found out, didn't he? Mom's laugh held no humor. Is that what you think happened? I think you're still doing it. I stood, anger burning through my uncertainty. Miss Lily, Janet Matthews, probably half the town. You collect secrets like weapons. I protect this family. She stepped into the room. Everything I've done was for yourself. I grabbed the photograph. Dad knew. That's why he died. Because he knew what you really were. Knew what? Her voice dropped dangerously. That I was cleaning up your messes? That I was protecting you from your own self-destruction? Rachel, Nancy warned, but Mom continued. You want the truth, Gianna? Your father wasn't some noble victim. He was driving to expose me because he thought it would help you. He thought if he destroyed my reputation, you'd stop acting out, stop drinking, stop throwing away your future. You're lying. The letter wasn't fake. She pulled it from her purse. But it wasn't about you disappearing that night. It was about what would happen if he went through with his plan to ruin me. If you're reading this, it means I've failed to protect our daughter from herself. Henry stood abruptly. That's enough. No, it's not. Mom's eyes locked onto mine. You've been so focused on exposing everyone else's secrets, you never stopped to consider your own. Should we talk about the real reason you started writing these stories? The room tilted. Behind her, a figure appeared in the doorway, Miss Lily clutching a familiar notebook. I'm sorry, Gianna. Miss Lily's voice shook. She found your original drafts. Mom smiled, that terrible knowing smile. Such creative writing, especially the parts where you reimagined your father's accident, where you turned your own guilt into a weapon against everyone else. Stop. The word came out as a whisper. Tell them the truth about the phone call you made to your father that night, begging him to pick you up from that party, about how you knew he'd come, no matter what, because he always did. Nancy gasped softly. The sound cut like glass. That's not, I didn't. But the memories were surfacing now, blurred by time and denial. The party, the drinks, the desperate call. You wanted revenge? Mom stepped closer. Go ahead, tell everyone your story, but tell all of it, including how you've spent 5 years turning your own guilt into a crusade against me. I backed away, bumping into Henry's desk. Photographs scattered across the floor. Mom at the motel, Dad's accident scene, a teenage girl who looked just like me, passed out at a party. You're not the only one who knows how to tell stories, Mom said softly. The only difference is, I have proof for mine. The room spun with unspoken accusations and half-buried truths. Every story I'd written, every secret I'd exposed, suddenly reflected back at me, distorted and darker than before. Miss Lily stepped forward, the notebook extended like an offering, or evidence. Sometimes, she said quietly, the stories we tell ourselves are the most dangerous lies of all. I looked at the notebook, then at the scattered photographs, each one a piece of a truth I'd refused to see. The web I'd thought I was weaving had been there all along, spun from my own denied memories and carefully curated guilt. Mom watched me, her expression almost pitying. Ready to tell the real story now? The attic held 17 years of carefully curated lies. I sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, surrounded by photo albums, letters, and diaries, Mom's private archive of everyone's secrets. My secrets. Footsteps creaked on the stairs. Sophia appeared in the doorway, looking smaller than her 14 years. Mom's looking for those. She gestured at the boxes. I know. I turned a page in my father's diary. The last entry, dated the night of his accident, remained unfinished. If I can just make her understand. Sophia settled beside me, picking up a photograph. Us as children, before everything fractured. Was any of it real? Which part? The stories you wrote, about Mike and Mom. About, she swallowed hard. About me being the favorite. I studied my sister's face, seeing for the first time how Mom's manipulation had shaped her too. Some of it was true, some of it was how I needed it to be true. And Dad's accident? The diary felt heavy in my hands. That was my truth, just not the whole truth. More footsteps. Mom stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Behind her, Nancy and Henry hovered like guilty shadows. Found what you were looking for? Mom asked. I held up the diary. Did you read it? All of it? Every word. She stepped into the attic. including the parts about how he enabled your drinking, how he covered for you, lied for you, just like I did after he died. Until you didn't. Until I couldn't. She sat on an old trunk. Everything I did, the control, the secrets, even marrying Mike, was to keep you from destroying yourself like you almost destroyed him. So you destroyed me instead. I saved you, her voice cracked, the only way I knew how. I opened my laptop, where my final blog post waited. The cursor blinked beside the title, The Truth About Lies. What are you going to do? Sophia whispered. The question hung in the attic's dusty air. Every secret in these boxes, every lie we'd told, they were all pieces of the same broken story. My story, their story, our truth. I began to type. This is a story about a girl who thought revenge meant exposing other people's lies. She didn't understand that the biggest lies were the ones she told herself. Mom stepped forward. Gianna, let her write, Henry said softly. It's time we all faced our truths. My fingers moved across the keyboard, weaving together the threads of our fractured family. The father who died trying to protect me from myself. The mother who buried her love beneath control. The sister caught between secrets she never asked to keep. When I finished, I turned the screen toward them. This is my last story. They read in silence. Sophia's hand found mine. Mom's mask cracked, tears falling freely. Post it, she finally said. Are you sure? Everyone will know. Everyone already knows pieces. Let them see the whole picture. I clicked publish, watching our family's carefully constructed facade dissolve into pixels. But something else emerged from the digital ashes, something raw and real and ours. What happens now? Sophia asked. I closed the laptop and stood, surveying the boxes of secrets that had defined us for so long. Now, we stop hiding. Mom nodded slowly, understanding passing between us. We couldn't undo the past, couldn't rewrite our choices, but maybe we could write a different kind of ending. I picked up Dad's diary one last time, running my fingers over his unfinished words. He tried to make me understand, and finally, I did. The truth wasn't in exposing secrets or seeking revenge. It was in facing our own reflections in the broken mirrors we'd created. I'll help you clean up the attic, Sophia said. No. I looked at our family, gathered among the remnants of our carefully curated lies. Let's leave it exactly as it is, a reminder. Mom touched an old photograph, then let it fall back into its box. Some truths needed to stay buried, not to hide them, but to let them rest. Outside, rain began to fall, washing away the last traces of summer. I thought about Miss Lily, about Janet Matthews, about all the stories still untold. But those weren't mine to tell anymore. I had my own story now, raw, imperfect, but finally completely true.
The invitation arrived on my birthday. Again, no one remembered. Not even my daughter Paisley, though I knew she'd feel terrible once she realized. I stared at the thick cream envelope with its gold embossing, running my fingers over the raised letters, announcing my parents' 50th wedding anniversary celebration. How fitting that it should arrive today, on my 48th birthday, when the house was silent except for my cat purring on the windowsill. My name is Gabriella, and I've spent 3 decades watching my family celebrate everything but me. Mom, Paisley's voice startled me as she burst through the front door. Oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry. I just remembered what day it is. She dropped her bag and rushed to hug me, her long dark hair tickling my face. I was so caught up with finals, It's okay, sweetheart, I said, though we both knew it wasn't. You're here now. She pulled back, her eyes landing on the envelope in my hands. Is that your grandparents' anniversary invitation? Yes. I forced a smile. The big 50. Are they serious? Sending it on your birthday? Paisley grabbed the envelope, her face darkening as she read. They want you to give a speech again. After they've forgotten your birthday for what? The 30th year in a row. 28th, but who's counting? I tried to laugh it off, but my voice cracked. The phone rang, making us both jump. My mother's name flashed on the screen. Prudence calling to discuss the anniversary? Paisley asked, her tone bitter. I nodded, letting it ring. Remember last year? Paisley sat beside me. When Uncle Trey's wife Vanessa tried to convince everyone they should sing happy birthday to you during the anniversary toast. And your grandmother shut it down because it would detract from the celebration, I finished. How could I forget? The phone stopped ringing, only to start again immediately. This time, it was my sister Marlo, probably already coordinating with Mother from her fancy apartment in London. You know what? Paisley grabbed my hand. Let's go out, right now, let them wait. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text from Trey. Mom's trying to reach you. Important anniversary planning meeting tonight. Don't be difficult. I showed Paisley the message, and she rolled her eyes. Don't be difficult. That's rich coming from the brother who forgot to invite you to his own wedding rehearsal dinner. He didn't forget, I corrected. He assumed I wouldn't want to come because I was busy writing my little stories. The phone rang a third time. My father, Roy, now. 3 calls in 5 minutes. I mused. Must be urgent anniversary business. Ignore them, Paisley insisted. Let's celebrate you for once. I stared at the invitation again, at the elaborate request for me to deliver the anniversary toast, a tradition I'd maintained for 15 years. Every year, I stood before our extended family and friends, weaving beautiful stories about my parents' enduring love, while swallowing the bitter truth of my own invisibility. The phone buzzed with another text, this time from Vanessa. Your mother's getting upset. Please call her back. You know how she gets about these things. I do know how she gets, I whispered, more to myself than Paisley. She gets exactly what she wants, while I gestured to the empty house, the forgotten birthday, the demanding invitation. Paisley squeezed my hand. Mom, you don't have to do this anymore. Something shifted inside me then, like a key turning in a long rusted lock. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and saw the fierce protectiveness in her eyes, the understanding that ran deeper than obligation. You're right, I said slowly, a plan forming in my mind. Maybe I don't. What are you thinking? I picked up the invitation, running my thumb across my mother's perfectly scripted demands. I'm thinking it's time for a different kind of story. My phone lit up again, another text from Trey. Meeting starts at 7, don't make Mom wait. I turned to Paisley, feeling lighter than I had in years. How about that birthday dinner? She grinned. Really? Really? And afterward, I glanced at my laptop, where my nearly finished memoir sat waiting. I think I finally know how to end my book. As we grabbed our coats, the phone rang one final time. I let it go to voicemail, my mother's clipped tones filling the silence. Gabriella, darling, we simply must discuss the anniversary arrangements. Do call back immediately. You know how important this is to the family. Paisley and I shared a look as we headed out the door. For once, I didn't feel guilty letting the call go unanswered. After all, they'd had no trouble ignoring me for 28 years. Maybe it was time they learned how it felt. The morning after my birthday dinner with Paisley, I walked into my home office to find a leather-bound photo album placed deliberately on my desk. My mother's signature passive-aggressive touch. She must have dropped it off last night while we were out. I flipped it open, and there they were, 49 years of perfectly orchestrated anniversary celebrations. My fingers traced over the images. Mother in her designer gowns, father in his tailored suits, both of them beaming at the camera while holding crystal champagne flutes. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Gabriella, why weren't you at the meeting last night? Mother's voice cut through the line. I was celebrating my birthday, Mother. I kept my tone neutral, continuing to flip through the album. A pause. Was that yesterday? Yes. just like it has been for the past 48 years. Another pause. Well, darling, you know how busy things get this time of year. Now, about the anniversary. I found the photo album, I interrupted, stopping at a particular photo from their 35th celebration. Interesting choice of pictures. Isn't it wonderful? I thought it might inspire your speech. You always do such a lovely job capturing the essence of our family's legacy. I stared at the photo. Trey stood proudly beside our parents. Marlo elegantly posed on their other side. I was technically in the shot, barely visible in the background, trying to help a waiter clean up a spilled drink. Our legacy, I repeated softly. Yes, these photos certainly capture that. The doorbell rang, saving me from more anniversary talk. Someone's at the door, Mother. I have to go. But we haven't discussed the... I hung up and opened the front door to find Vanessa standing there, looking uncomfortable. Your mother sent me, she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. She's worried you're going to make things difficult. Define difficult, I said, leading her to my office. Vanessa spotted the photo album. Ah, you got it. Look, Gabriella, I know things aren't always perfect, but this anniversary means everything to your parents. I opened the album to their 40th celebration. Do you remember this one, Vanessa? When I had pneumonia, but Mother insisted I give the speech anyway. She shifted uncomfortably. You handled it beautifully. I collapsed right after. Trey had to drive me to the emergency room. And your speech was still the highlight of the evening, she offered, as if that made it better. My phone buzzed again. Marlo this time. Mother's in a state. What are you playing at? You know what's funny? I said to Vanessa, ignoring the text. In all these photos, in all these celebrations, there isn't a single shot of anyone celebrating my birthday. Not one in 48 years. Gabriella. Did you know Paisley found my mother's birthday calendar last year? Every family birthday is marked, except mine. I closed the album firmly. Even my own daughter's birthday is there, but not mine. Vanessa reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Your mother means well. She's just your mother. Yes, she is, and I'm just her daughter. I walked to my desk and picked up my laptop. Would you like to see what I've been working on? Your new book? Vanessa perked up. Mother mentioned you were writing another memoir. I opened the document and turned the screen toward her. Her eyes widened as she read the title. The Art of Invisibility. A Daughter's Guide to Being Forgotten. Gabriella, you can't what? Tell the truth? Her face paled. This will destroy them. The anniversary will go on as planned, I assured her. I just won't be giving the usual speech this year. What are you going to say instead? I smiled, closing my laptop. Nothing. I won't be there. You have to be there. It's tradition. Vanessa stood up, flustered. What will people think? They probably won't notice. After all, I'm usually in the background anyway. Vanessa grabbed her purse, heading for the door. I have to tell your mother. Go ahead, I said quietly. She probably won't remember this conversation anyway. After she left, I returned to the photo album. Behind the last photo, I found a handwritten note from my mother. Darling, use these memories to craft something special for the celebration. Make us proud. My phone buzzed with a text from Paisley. Just ran into Aunt Vanessa. She looked upset. You okay, Mom? I typed back. Never better. Want to help me write a different kind of anniversary speech? Her response was immediate. On my way with coffee and determination. I closed the album and placed it in my bottom drawer. For years, I'd crafted beautiful lies about my family's perfect love story. This year, I would tell a different story, the true story. Let them see how it feels to be the ones forgotten. The prodigal sister returns. Marlo's voice rang through my house as she let herself in, designer heels clicking against the hardwood floors. I hadn't seen her in 3 years, but her timing was impeccable, just as I was finishing the final chapter of my memoir. Don't you knock anymore, I called out, quickly saving my document. Darling, we need to talk about this little tantrum you're throwing. She appeared in my office doorway, looking exactly as she had when she left for London. Perfectly coiffed, expertly styled, and thoroughly judgmental. Tantrum. I kept typing. Vanessa told me about your plans to skip the anniversary. She perched herself on the edge of my desk. And apparently you're writing some sort of exposé? It's called a memoir, Marlo. You know, like the other 3 I've published? The ones about other people's families? She picked up a framed photo of Paisley from my desk. Not ours. I stopped typing. Put that down. She set the photo back with exaggerated care. Mother's beside herself. She's had to reschedule the entire seating arrangement. How tragic. Don't be petty, Gabriella. It doesn't suit you. Marlo leaned forward, lowering her voice. What do you want? More attention? A special mention in the toast? We can arrange something. My laptop pinged with an incoming email. I opened it, reading aloud. Dear Ms. Hicks, we are thrilled to express our interest in your memoir, The Art of Invisibility. Your powerful exploration of family dynamics and emotional neglect resonates deeply. Marlo's face tightened. You've already submitted it. 2 weeks ago, I closed the laptop. Publication date is set for next month. The anniversary is next month. Is it? I must have forgotten. Marlo stood up, her composure cracking. You know what your problem is? You're too sensitive. Always have been. Remember when you cried because I got a car for my 16th birthday and you got a journal? The journal was 3 months late, and it was a regift from Mother's book club. See? Sensitive. She waved her hand dismissively. Some people just aren't meant to be the center of attention, Gabriella. You should accept that. The front door opened again, and Paisley's voice called out, Mom, I brought lunch. Marlo's eyes narrowed. Ah, your co-conspirator arrives. Paisley appeared in the doorway, carrying takeout bags. She froze when she saw Marlo. Aunt Marlo, you're here. Hello, dear. We were just discussing your mother's latest literary venture. Paisley set the bags down, her voice cool. You mean her best work yet? The one that's already getting buzz from publishers? The one that will humiliate our entire family, Marlo countered. The truth can only humiliate people who deserve it. Paisley shot back. Careful, dear. Loyalty is admirable, but you wouldn't want to alienate the whole family. I stood up. Don't threaten my daughter. Threaten. I'm trying to help. Marlo pulled out her phone. I'm texting Mother. This has gone far enough. Go ahead, I said. Tell her I'm being difficult again. Tell her I'm too sensitive. Tell her whatever you want. It's going in the book anyway. Marlo's fingers stopped moving over her phone. What exactly is in this book? Everything. I opened my laptop again. The forgotten birthdays, the dismissed achievements, the time you all went to Paris for Christmas and forgot to book my ticket, the family photos I'm mysteriously absent from, the gaslighting, the constant reminders that I should be grateful just to be included. Those are private family matters. Not anymore. I turned the screen toward her. Want to hear Chapter 7? It's about the time Mother told my publisher that my first book was just a hobby at her 45th anniversary party. Marlo's phone buzzed. Probably Mother demanding updates. She ignored it, her face pale. You can't do this. Actually, Paisley chimed in. She can, and she should. You're making a mistake, Marlo warned, heading for the door. A massive, family-destroying mistake. After she left, Paisley turned to me. You okay? I nodded, returning to my manuscript. Just finishing the epilogue. What are you writing? I read aloud as I typed. Sometimes the greatest act of self-love is simply making yourself visible. Sometimes the hardest truth to tell is your own. And sometimes the only way to be heard is to stop speaking altogether. Paisley squeezed my shoulder. Perfect. My phone lit up with messages. Mother. Marlo says, you're being unreasonable. Father, don't upset your mother. Trey, whatever you're planning, don't. I turned off my phone and looked at Paisley, ready to help me write that dedication page. She grinned. To the family that taught me the importance of being seen, by showing me what it feels like to be invisible. Perfect, I said, and started typing. The pre-anniversary dinner was Mother's idea, a small family gathering to sort things out. I knew better, but here I sat, at their formal dining table anyway, pushing food around my plate, while everyone pretended everything was normal. More wine, Gabriella. Mother held the bottle poised, her smile tight. You've barely touched your glass. I'm fine. You look tired, dear. Are you sleeping enough? She poured anyway, filling my glass to the brim. Writing can be so draining, can't it? Trey cleared his throat. Speaking of writing, how's the new book coming along? The table went silent. Even the clinking of silverware stopped. It's finished, actually, I said, meeting his gaze. Final edits were approved yesterday. Wonderful. Mother brightened. Will we get advance copies for the anniversary party? We could display them on the... I don't think that's appropriate, Mother. Marlowe cut in, shooting me a warning look. Why not? Father spoke for the first time, looking up from his plate. Gabriella's books are always a point of pride for us. I couldn't help myself. Are they? When was the last time you read one? More silence. Vanessa jumped in, ever the peacekeeper. I loved your last book, Gabriella. The one about the immigrant family in Detroit. Thank you, Vanessa. Did you enjoy the part about the mother who actually remembered her daughter's birthday? Mother's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Really, Gabriella, must you? Must I what? Write about functional families. Sorry if that offends you. That's enough, Trey snapped. We're here to discuss the anniversary celebration, not your literary career. My literary career pays for half these celebrations, I reminded him. Or did you forget that too? Here we go, Marlowe sighed. The martyr act again. Paisley, who'd been quiet until now, slammed her hand on the table. Stop it, all of you. You sit here acting superior while treating my mother like she's nothing. Paisley, Vanessa reached for her hand. No one thinks. Save it, Aunt Vanessa. Paisley stood up. I've watched this my entire life. You all take and take from her, expect her to show up, give speeches, write checks, play her part. But when was the last time any of you showed up for her? We're her family, Mother said firmly. Everything we do is for family. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that surprised even me. Family, last week was my birthday, again. Where were you all? Oh, darling. You know how busy things get during anniversary planning. Mother waved her hand dismissively. I was in London, Marlowe added. Had a business meeting, Trey mumbled. Father just looked confused. Was it really last week? See? I pushed my plate away. This is why I'm not giving a speech this year. Mother's face darkened. You most certainly are. It's tradition. Like forgetting my birthday is tradition. For God's sake, Trey exploded. It's just a birthday. Stop being so dramatic. Dramatic? I stood up slowly. You want to see dramatic? Check your email. I sent you all advance copies of my memoir an hour ago. The sound of phones being pulled from pockets filled the room. I watched their faces as they read the synopsis, the color draining from their cheeks. Mother's hand shook as she read aloud. The Art of Invisibility explores the subtle cruelty of emotional neglect through one daughter's journey of surviving a family that perfected the art of forgetting. You can't publish this, Trey whispered. Already done. Release date is set for your anniversary, actually. I smiled. Funny how I remembered that date perfectly. This will ruin us, Marlowe hissed. Our reputation. Your reputation, Paisley interrupted. What about her heart? What about 30 years of making her feel worthless? Mother stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I will not be painted as some sort of monster in your little book. You painted that picture yourself, I replied quietly. I'm just holding up the mirror. Roy, Mother turned to Father. Say something. Father looked at me for a long moment, then back at his plate. Pass the potatoes, please. Unbelievable, I whispered, grabbing my purse. Come on, Paisley, we're leaving. Gabriella, Vanessa called after me. Please, we can fix this. I turned at the door. That's the thing, Vanessa. It was never broken. This is exactly how everyone wanted it. Everyone except me. As Paisley and I walked to the car, I could hear Mother's voice floating through the dining room window. Well, I suppose we'll need to rework the seating chart again. And someone will have to give the anniversary toast now. Some things never change, but this time I wouldn't be there to witness it. And for once, that was entirely my choice. The morning after the disastrous family dinner, my publisher called. I put her on speaker so Paisley could listen as she made coffee in my kitchen. "Gabriella, the early reviews are incredible," Sarah gushed. "People are calling it raw, unflinching, a masterpiece of family dysfunction. We're pushing up the release date by 2 days to maximize impact." 2 days before the anniversary instead of on it, Paisley asked, sliding a mug toward me. "Exactly," Sarah confirmed. "The timing is perfect. We've already got 3 major morning shows interested in interviews." My phone buzzed with another call. Marlo again. I ignored it. "How are you holding up?" Sarah asked. "Family fallout can be rough." I started, but was interrupted by pounding on my front door. "Gabriella, open this door right now." Mother's voice carried through the house. "I'll call you back, Sarah." I hung up as Paisley went to answer the door. Mother burst in, clutching her tablet. "Have you seen these preview reviews? Have you seen what people are saying?" "Good morning to you too, Mother. Don't you dare take that tone with me." She thrust the tablet in my face. "Look at this. A searing indictment of privileged family dynamics. A mother's casual cruelty laid bare. Do you have any idea what this will do to us? Make you finally see me. See you." She laughed bitterly. "All we've ever done is try to help you succeed. Who paid for your college? Who introduced you to publishers? Who forgot I existed unless they needed something?" I cut in. "Who made me feel like I was never good enough, never important enough, never worthy of basic consideration? You're being ridiculous. Paisley." She turned to my daughter. "Talk sense into your mother." Paisley crossed her arms. I helped her write the book. Mother sank onto my couch, pressing her fingers to her temples. "This isn't happening. The anniversary is in 2 weeks. Everyone will be there. The mayor, the governor's wife, all our friends. Perfect audience for a book launch," Paisley muttered. My phone rang again. Trey this time. Mother grabbed it before I could, putting it on speaker. "Gabriella, the morning shows want interviews with all of us," he said without preamble. "They're calling it a family reckoning story." "Absolutely not," Mother snapped. "Mother," Trey sounded surprised. "Are you at Gabriella's? Trying to prevent our family's complete social destruction?" "Yes." I took my phone back. "No interviews, Trey. The book speaks for itself." "Then speak to me now," Mother demanded. "Tell me what you want. Money, a bigger role in the anniversary, your own party. I want you to understand what you did, what you all did." "What we did." She stood up, smoothing her skirt. "We gave you everything. Except love," Paisley said quietly. "Except basic kindness." Mother's phone chimed. She glanced at it, her face paling. "Your father just got a call from the country club. They want to postpone our anniversary reception until this family matter is resolved." "Postpone?" I couldn't help smiling. "But it's tradition, Mother. You can't break tradition." "You're enjoying this," she accused. "You want to hurt us." "No, Mother. I want you to feel what I felt. Every forgotten birthday, every dismissed achievement, every time you made me give speeches celebrating your love while ignoring mine. I want you to understand. By humiliating us publicly? By telling the truth publicly." Her phone chimed again. "Marlo's flight is delayed. She says the London papers want to run excerpts from your book." "International coverage," Paisley whistled. "Impressive, Mom." Mother sank back onto the couch. "What do you want me to say? That we were terrible parents? That we failed you? I want you to say you see me. Really see me." "I see you now," she whispered. "I see what you're capable of." "That's not what I meant." She stood up again, gathering her purse. "Well, you've certainly made your point. I hope this book brings you whatever closure you're looking for. But don't expect to be welcomed back after this." "Back where, Mother? I was never really there to begin with." "At the door," she paused. You know, I always thought your sensitivity was your greatest weakness. Now I see it's your most dangerous weapon. After she left, Paisley hugged me. You okay? My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Good morning, America wants you tomorrow. You ready to tell your story to the world? I looked at Paisley, then at the text. You know what? I think I finally am. Good, Paisley smiled, because Grandma's right about one thing. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's your superpower. I picked up my phone to reply to Sarah, feeling lighter than I had in years. It was time for the invisible daughter to finally be seen, and this time, everyone would be watching. The day of the anniversary arrived with a storm of text messages and missed calls. I sat in my study, watching the chaos unfold through my phone screen, while Paisley monitored social media. Your Good Morning America interview has over 1 million views, she announced, and the art of invisibility is trending. My phone buzzed again. Marlo. The caterers are threatening to cancel. Mother's having a meltdown. Where are you? I set my phone aside and picked up the carefully wrapped package on my desk. Inside was a single copy of my memoir, bound in elegant black leather with gold lettering. Ready? Paisley asked, watching me run my fingers over the cover. Almost. I opened the book to the dedication page and added one final handwritten note. The doorbell rang. We both knew who it would be. I'll get it, Paisley said, but I stopped her. No, let me. Marlo stood on my doorstep, mascara smeared and hair disheveled. A sight I'd never seen before. You have to come with me right now. Hello to you too. This isn't funny, Gabriella. The governor's wife just canceled. The local news is parked outside our parents' house. Father's locked himself in his study, and Mother, she paused, catching her breath. Mother's crying. I've never seen her cry. That makes 2 of us. Please, Marlo's voice cracked. Just come fix this. Fix what, exactly? The truth? She grabbed my arm. Do you know what it's like in that house right now? Everyone's arriving, asking questions, whispering about your book. Mother can barely hold it together. Trey's wife is running interference with the guests. But what? The perfect family image is cracking? Is that what you wanted, to break us? I held up the wrapped book. No, I wanted to wake us up. Marlo stared at the package. What's that? My anniversary gift. Make sure it gets placed on the gift table. You're really not coming. I'll be there, just not when you expect me. She took the package, hands trembling slightly. Mother will never forgive you for this. Maybe not, but I'll finally be able to forgive myself. After she left, Paisley showed me her phone. Uncle Trey's wife just posted. Family is complicated, but love should be simple. Praying for healing tonight. Vanessa always did love her platitudes, I said, checking my watch. Time to get ready. Paisley nodded. Operation Crash. The party is a go. 2 hours later, we pulled up to my parents' house. Cars lined the street, and I could see the party in full swing through the large windows. Classical music drifted out into the evening air. Look, Paisley pointed to the news van, trying to be inconspicuous at the corner. You're making quite a splash. We slipped in through the side entrance, my old teenage sneaking route. The house was packed with familiar faces, all trying to act normal while clearly burning with curiosity. There's your book, Paisley whispered, nodding toward the gift table, where my black-wrapped package sat prominently displayed. I checked my phone. One new message from Trey. Mother's about to give the speech you were supposed to give. Last chance to make this right. Perfect timing, I murmured, stepping into the shadows of the grand staircase. Mother took her place at the front of the room, champagne glass in hand. Her voice shook slightly as she began. For 50 years, our family has stood as a testament to love, loyalty, and tradition. I moved through the crowd, which parted silently as they recognized me. Mother's voice faltered as she saw me approach. Gabriella, she whispered, gripping her glass tighter. You came. I reached for my package on the gift table. I wouldn't miss it. After all, isn't that what family does? Shows up. The room went deadly quiet as I unwrapped the book. Mother's eyes fixed on the gold lettering, then on my face. "Would you like to know what I wrote in the dedication?" I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. She shook her head slightly, but I opened the book anyway. "To my mother," I read, "who taught me that being invisible doesn't mean you don't exist. It just means you have to shine brighter to be seen." I placed the book in her trembling hands. "Happy anniversary, Mother. I hope you finally see what I've been trying to show you all these years." The silence in the room was deafening. Somewhere, a camera clicked, probably the society photographer, capturing the moment the perfect family facade finally cracked. But for the first time in my life, standing there in front of everyone, I didn't feel invisible at all. I felt illuminated. Mother's hands shook as she opened the book, her eyes scanning the first page. The room remained frozen, watching, waiting. Even the string quartet had stopped playing. Perhaps Father's voice cut through the silence as he stepped forward. "We should take this somewhere private." "No," I said firmly. "We've had enough privacy, enough secrets, enough pretending." Trey moved toward me. "Gabriella, don't what?" I turned to face the crowd. "Don't tell them how you all forgot my college graduation because it conflicted with Mother's garden party. Don't mention how Marlowe told my first publisher I was just playing at being a writer." "That's not fair," Marlowe protested. "I was trying to protect you from disappointment." "Protect me?" I laughed. "By making me feel worthless." Mother suddenly slammed the book shut. "Enough. This is our anniversary celebration, not your therapy session." "Actually," Paisley stepped forward, "it's both. Because guess what, Grandma? Your perfect family image, it's hurting everyone, not just Mom." "What do you mean?" Vanessa asked softly. "Why do you think I never bring my kids to family events?" Paisley's voice carried across the room. "Because I don't want them learning that love is conditional, that they have to earn their place in the family by performing like trained seals." A murmur rippled through the crowd. I saw the governor's wife lean in to whisper to her husband. The society photographer's camera clicked rapidly. "I gave you everything," Mother's voice cracked. "The best schools, the best opportunities. Everything except acknowledgement," I finished. "Everything except love. Love." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a fierce whisper. "You think this book is love? Humiliating us in front of everyone we know. No, Mother, this book is truth. And sometimes truth hurts more than lies." Father cleared his throat. I read the advance copy." Everyone turned to stare at him. Mother's face went pale. "You what?" she whispered. "Last night, I couldn't sleep." He looked at me, really looked at me. Maybe for the first time in years. "She's right, Prudence, about all of it. Roy, don't you dare. Your 16th birthday," he continued, his voice growing stronger. "You wore that blue dress, waited all day for us to remember. I saw you, sitting on the porch, until midnight. I saw you, and I did nothing." Tears spilled down my cheeks. "You saw me. I always saw you. I just didn't know how to reach you. It was easier to follow your mother's lead, to maintain the image she wanted." "The image I wanted?" Mother's voice rose. "I built this family. I protected us, gave us status, made us what we are." "And what are we, Mother?" Marlowe suddenly asked. "Because from where I'm standing, we're just really well-dressed strangers who share DNA." Trey stepped forward, his face troubled. "The book, it mentions the Christmas I got engaged, how we announced it at family dinner, right after Gabriella told us about her first book deal. You said, 'That's nice, dear, but wait until you hear Trey's news.'" I quoted. I remember every word. "I didn't," he swallowed hard. "I never meant to overshadow you. None of you meant to," I said softly. "That's what makes it worse. It was so natural, so normal, to forget I existed." The room had grown so quiet, you could hear the ice melting in abandoned champagne glasses. Mother stood rigid, the book clutched to her chest like a shield. "What do you want from us?" she finally asked. "I want you to read it," I said, pointing to the book. "Really read it, try to understand, and maybe, just maybe, Think about why your perfect daughter chose to become a writer. Why did you? Vanessa asked. Because writers can't be ignored. Their words demand to be seen, to be heard. I smiled sadly. I had to write myself into existence. Mother opened the book again, this time to the final page. Her lips moved silently as she read the last lines. In the end, she read aloud, her voice trembling. The art of invisibility taught me the most important lesson of all. Sometimes you have to disappear completely before anyone notices you were there in the first place. She looked up at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something crack in her perfect facade. A tear rolled down her cheek, smearing her immaculate makeup. I notice you now, she whispered. I know, I said quietly. That's why I wrote the book. The string quartet began to play again. A soft, melancholic piece that seemed to capture the moment perfectly. As guests awkwardly returned to their conversations, I watched my mother sink into a chair, open the book, and begin to read. Sometimes, the loudest statements are made in complete silence. The morning sun streamed through my office window as I sorted through the mountain of mail on my desk. Fan letters, interview requests, and speaking invitations had been pouring in since the book's release. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mother. Are you free for tea this afternoon? These invitations had become frequent since the anniversary party. Each one felt like a small step toward something new, something real. I texted back, 3 p.m. Perfect. I'm bringing scones and your birthday present. I smiled, remembering how she'd shown up at my door the morning after the party. Eyes red from reading all night. She hadn't said much, just handed me a stack of my childhood drawings she'd kept hidden away in her study. Each one was dated, preserved, treasured, proving she'd seen me all along, even if she hadn't known how to show it. The doorbell rang. Paisley walked in, carrying newspapers. You're still making headlines, Mom. Good ones or bad ones? Both. Society pages are scandalized, but literary critics are calling you brave. She spread the papers across my desk. Oh, and Aunt Marlowe's interview just dropped. I picked up the magazine with Marlowe's face on the cover. The headline read, Family Secrets, a sister's response to The Art of Invisibility. Have you read it? I asked. You should. Paisley pointed to a highlighted quote. My sister's book forced me to confront my own role in our family's dysfunction. It's easy to dismiss someone's pain when you're part of the system causing it. My phone buzzed again, Trey this time. Having dinner with Vanessa's family tonight. First time in years. Your book made me realize what we've been missing. The front door opened, and Father's voice called out, Hello, anyone home? He appeared in my office doorway, looking uncomfortable, but determined. I brought something for you. He placed a small box on my desk. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet. I bought this for your 16th birthday, he said quietly. Never found the courage to give it to you. Seemed easier to pretend I'd forgotten, like everyone else. Why now? Because I'm tired of pretending. He cleared his throat. Your book? It showed me what courage really looks like. Paisley squeezed my hand as I fastened the bracelet around my wrist. My phone lit up with a text from Vanessa. Book club chose your memoir for next month. Would you consider joining us? Trey wants to come too. Another message popped up, this one from Marlowe. London book tour next month. Stay with me? We have 30 years of conversations to catch up on. Look at that. Paisley grinned. The invisible woman becomes impossible to ignore. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Mother, early for tea, clutching a gift bag and looking nervous. I couldn't wait, she said, stepping into my office. I need to show you something. She pulled out a leather-bound calendar. I'm rewriting history, she announced, opening it to reveal dates marked in her precise handwriting. Every birthday, every achievement, every moment I should have celebrated but didn't. I'm filling them in, one by one. Mother, I know it doesn't fix the past, she continued quickly, but maybe it can help build a better future, one where we all see each other clearly. Father picked up one of the newspapers, reading aloud. In exposing her family's flaws, Author Gabriella creates a mirror for all of us to examine our own blind spots. They got that right. Paisley said, "Grandma, did you know my friend's mother started family therapy after reading Mom's book?" Mother smiled slightly. "The governor's wife told me the same thing at her garden party. Apparently, we've started quite the revolution in our social circle." "Speaking of social circles," I said, "what about the country club's anniversary reception?" "Cancelled," Mother replied. I decided some traditions aren't worth keeping." She opened the calendar again, pointing to today's date. "I thought instead we might start a new tradition, family tea, every Wednesday, if you'll have us." I looked around my office, at Father fidgeting with his tie, at Paisley beaming with pride, at Mother nervously clutching her calendar of second chances. My phone kept buzzing with messages from Marlo, Trey, Vanessa, all part of this imperfect, evolving family constellation. "I'll get the cups," I said, standing up. "Paisley, help me with the tea." As we headed to the kitchen, I heard Mother say to Father, "Look at these reader letters. Our daughter did something extraordinary." "Our daughter," he repeated softly. Yes, she did. I caught my reflection in the kitchen window, no longer invisible, no longer forgotten, just seen, finally and completely, for exactly who I am. And that, more than any book deal or headline, felt like the greatest success of all.
The heavy oak doors of Vincenzo's creaked as I pushed them open, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. Tonight would change everything. I'd rehearsed the words 1,000 times, but they still felt like broken glass in my mouth. My name is Mary, and I was about to detonate my family's perfect little world. The restaurant hummed with the usual Friday night chaos, servers weaving between tables, wine glasses clinking, the constant chatter of satisfied customers. My father's pride and joy, his temple of culinary tradition, where he'd spent 30 years building our family legacy, the legacy I was about to reject. "You're late." Tom's voice cut through the ambient noise as I reached the private dining room. My brother's perfectly pressed shirt and carefully styled hair screamed of the control he'd inherited from our father. "Everyone's waiting." "Traffic," I lied, smoothing my dress. The truth, I'd spent 20 minutes sitting in my car, gathering courage, would only give him more ammunition. The private dining room fell silent as I entered. Mother's fingers tightened around her wine glass, her smile stretched thin across her face. Father sat at the head of the table, his presence filling the room like smoke. Grandma Eleanor's knowing eyes met mine, and I saw a flash of understanding cross her weathered features. "Well, if it isn't our prodigal daughter," Father said, raising his glass. "Finally decided to grace us with your presence at our monthly family dinner?" I took my seat, the leather chair squeaking beneath me. "I had a client meeting that ran late." Yes, your little gardening hobby." Tom smirked, cutting into his veal. "How's that going?" "It's landscape design," I corrected, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "And I just landed the Peterson estate project." "The Petersons?" Mother's eyebrows shot up. "Charles Peterson's place?" "Yes." I reached for my water glass, buying time. "They want a complete redesign of their grounds. It's a 6-figure contract." Father's knife scraped against his plate. "That's interesting, but surely not as interesting as the expansion plans for Vincenzo's. Tom, why don't you tell your sister about the new location?" "Actually," I interrupted, the word falling from my lips like a stone into still water. "I need to tell you all something." The air grew thick with tension. Grandma Eleanor set down her fork, her eyes never leaving my face. "I'm leaving the restaurant. Permanently." The silence that followed was absolute, broken only by the distant clattering of dishes from the main dining room. "Don't be ridiculous," Father said finally, his voice dangerously soft. "This is your heritage, Mary. Your responsibility." "No," I said, surprised by the strength in my voice. "It's your dream, Father, not mine. I'm building my own legacy now." Tom laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. "With what? Flower arrangements and pretty gardens?" This is what happens when you indulge a child's fantasies, Father. I told you she'd never... Enough. Father's fist crashed onto the table, making the silverware jump. Mary, you will not throw away generations of tradition for some foolish rebellion. I forbid it. I'm 28 years old, I said, standing slowly. You can't forbid me to do anything anymore. If you walk away from this table, he said, each word precise and cutting, you walk away from this family, from everything we've built, everything we are. I looked at Mother, who stared fixedly at her plate, at Tom, whose triumph leaked from every pore, at Grandma Eleanor, whose slight nod gave me the final push I needed. Then I guess this is goodbye. As I walked toward the door, Father's voice followed me like a curse. You'll regret this, Mary. Mark my words. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd discovered their secrets. The missing money, the lies, the betrayals that ran deeper than anyone suspected. They thought this was about rebellion, about gardens versus restaurants. They had no idea this was just the beginning. I pushed through those heavy oak doors one last time, leaving behind the suffocating weight of false loyalty and forced traditions. In the cool night air, I finally allowed myself to smile. Let them think they'd won. Let them believe they'd broken me. Revenge, like the gardens I designed, required patience, planning, and perfect timing. And I had all three. Grandma Eleanor's garden always smelled of earth and secrets. 3 days after walking out of Vincenzo's, I found myself kneeling in her herb beds, dirt under my fingernails, trying to forget the 17 missed calls from my mother. Your father used to hide here too, Grandma Eleanor said, settling into her weathered wooden chair beside the lavender. Back when he was courting your mother and my husband disapproved. Father? Hiding? I yanked a stubborn weed, imagining it was Tom's smug face. That doesn't sound like the great Richard Thompson. People change, dear. Usually not for the better. She paused, watching a butterfly dance between her prized roses. Tom called this morning. My hands stilled in the soil. What did he want? To warn me about you. Said you're having some sort of breakdown. That I shouldn't enable your destructive behavior. She chuckled, the sound dry as autumn leaves. I told him to stuff it. Grandma? Oh, please, I'm 78. I've earned the right to speak my mind. She leaned forward, her voice dropping. But Mary, there's something you should know. I overheard your father and Tom talking last week, before your announcement. Something about missing funds and... The crunch of tires on gravel cut her off. Mother's silver Mercedes rolled into view and my stomach clenched. I'll handle this, Grandma Eleanor said, rising with surprising agility. You go around back through the kitchen. Take the box on the counter. I've been meaning to give it to you anyway. I slipped through the garden gate as Mother's heels clicked up the path. Their voices drifted over the hedges. Susan, what a surprise. Tea? Where is she, Mother? Who? The garden fairy? She was here earlier, stealing my strawberries. In the kitchen, a dusty wooden box sat waiting. Inside, yellowed papers caught my eye. Bank statements, letters, old photographs. One showed a younger version of my father standing beside an unfamiliar man, both wearing Vincenzo's uniforms. On the back, in Grandma's careful script, Richard and Marco, 1985. Original partners. Original partners? My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Your brother's here at the design firm. Looking for you. Not happy. Another buzz. This time from David, my colleague. Need to talk. Found something interesting in the Peterson contract research. Call me. Footsteps approached the kitchen. I shoved the box into my bag as Mother burst in, Grandma Eleanor close behind. Enough running, Mary. Your father is willing to forgive this episode. Come home. We'll pretend none of this happened. Pretending is what got us here, I said, backing toward the door. How long have you been pretending everything's fine, Mother? That the restaurant's doing well? That Tom's qualified to run it? Her face paled. What are you talking about? Susan, Grandma Eleanor warned, but I was already moving. Ask Father about Marco, I said, watching Mother's expression shift. Ask him what really happened to his original partner. How did you? Mother's hands trembled as she reached for me. Mary, please, there are things you don't understand. I understand enough. The back door felt cool against my palm. And I'm going to understand more. Your father will never forgive you if you start digging, Mother said, her voice cracking. Some secrets should stay buried. Like the missing money? The words shot out before I could stop them. Mother's sharp intake of breath told me everything. Who told you about that? Nobody had to tell me. I have eyes. I stepped outside into the gathering dusk. And unlike you, I'm not afraid to use them. Mary. But I was already gone, the box of secrets heavy in my bag, my mind racing with possibilities. Later that night, as I sorted through the documents in my apartment, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Heard you're asking about Marco. Coffee tomorrow, I have answers. I stared at the message, remembering the photograph, the fear in Mother's eyes, the pieces of a puzzle I hadn't known existed until now. Father had built his empire on something darker than family tradition, and I was going to find out what it was. The truth, like the thorny roses in Grandma Eleanor's garden, would draw blood before revealing its beauty. I was counting on it. The coffee shop buzzed with morning regulars, but Marco's daughter sat alone in the corner, her hands wrapped around an untouched latte. Sophia Rossi looked nothing like the smiling teenager in the old photograph, but grief had a way of aging people. 20 years without a father would do that. The official story was that Marco abandoned the restaurant, she said, sliding a manila envelope across the table. Left my mother and me for a new life in Chicago, except he never made it there. My fingers trembled as I opened the envelope. Bank statements, police reports, newspaper clippings yellowed with age. Your father didn't just steal the restaurant from mine, Sophia said. He stole everything. The bell above the door chimed. David walked in, freezing when he saw me. The Peterson estate blueprints tucked under his arm suddenly felt like evidence of another betrayal waiting to happen. Mary, we need to talk about the project. Not now. I shoved the documents into my bag. I'll meet you at the office. Sophia's dark eyes followed David as he retreated. Be careful who you trust. I learned that lesson too late. Back at the design firm, I locked myself in my office, spreading Marco's papers across my desk. The numbers told a story of systematic theft, of accounts drained and partnerships dissolved, of a man who disappeared the same night nearly $500,000 vanished from the restaurant's accounts. My phone lit up with Tom's name. I declined the call, but his text came through anyway. The Peterson contract is void. Hope you enjoyed your little rebellion while it lasted. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. I dialed David's extension with shaking fingers. What did you do? Mary, listen. What did you do? His sigh crackled through the line. Tom came to me last week. Said your father would double my salary if I joined Vincenzo's development team instead. The Peterson project goes with me. You're working with them? After everything I told you? It's just business. Nothing personal. I laughed, the sound sharp enough to cut. Everything in my family is personal. Lily found me in the office parking lot an hour later, staring at my laptop screen. The restaurant's financial records glowed in the gathering dusk, numbers swimming before my eyes. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said, sliding into the passenger seat. Maybe I have. I turned the screen toward her. Look at these transfers. Every month, large sums moving through shell companies. It's still happening. Father's not just stealing from the restaurant. He's laundering money through it. Holy shit. Lily squinted at the screen. Does Tom know? Tom's probably helping him. The golden child wouldn't dare question. A sharp rap on my window made us both jump. Mother stood there, her perfect makeup unable to hide the fear in her eyes. We need to talk, she mouthed through the glass. In the quiet of an empty conference room, Mother's composure cracked. Your father knows you've been talking to Sophia Rossi. He's not himself, Mary. I've never seen him like this. Like what? Scared? Dangerous. She gripped my arm. Whatever you think you know about Marco, let it go. Please, before someone else gets hurt. Like Marco did? Mother's hand fell away. You don't understand what happened back then. What your father had to do to protect us. Protect us or protect himself? Both. She moved toward the door, then paused. Your grandmother called. Said she has more documents for you. Don't go there tonight. Tom's watching the house. But as she left, her words had the opposite effect. If Tom was watching Grandma Eleanor's house, it meant there was something there worth protecting. Something they didn't want me to find. I waited until midnight before driving out to the estate. The gardens were silver under the moon, roses nodding like conspirators in the breeze. A light burned in Grandma Eleanor's study window. The back door opened before I could knock. I was wondering when you'd come, Grandma said, ushering me inside. There's something you need to see. Something I should have shown you years ago. She led me to her study, where an old safe stood open in the wall behind her desk. Inside, a single red ledger waited like a time bomb. Your father didn't just steal the restaurant from Marco, she said, echoing Sophia's words from this morning. He stole it from me, and now we're going to take it back. I stared at my grandmother, this woman I thought I knew, and saw a stranger with familiar eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying, my dear, that revenge runs in the family. She smiled, sharp as thorns. And it's time you learned how deep those roots really go. The red ledger burned in my bag like a live coal as I walked into Vincenzo's through the service entrance. 3 decades of secrets wrapped in cracked leather, and every page stained with my grandmother's meticulous handwriting. The kitchen staff barely glanced my way. They remembered me from before. The prodigal daughter who used to help prep vegetables on summer breaks. Tom's voice carried from the office. The health inspector's coming Monday. Make it look good. I slipped past, following the familiar path to Father's private office. The safe behind the Tuscan landscape painting called to me like a siren. 20 minutes. That's all I needed. The combination hadn't changed. Mother's birthday, as always. Inside, fresh documents waited like prizes. Loan agreements, property deeds, and a familiar name that made my blood freeze. David's signature, dated 3 weeks ago on partnership papers. Looking for something specific? I slammed the safe shut, but Tom already filled the doorway, his smile sharp as broken glass. You always were terrible at being sneaky, little sister. Funny, I was just thinking the same about you. I held up David's contract. How long have you been planning this? Since you started asking questions about Marco. He stepped closer, reaching for the paper. Did you really think Father would let you walk away knowing what you know? I backed toward the window. And what exactly do I know, Tom? That depends on what Sophia Rossi told you. His eyes flickered to my bag. And what's in that ledger Grandmother gave you? The bottom dropped out of my stomach. How did you... Because I've been watching you, Mary. We all have. Did you think you were the only one Grandmother trusted with her secrets? A noise from the hallway made us both turn. Father stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. I told you to wait, he said to Tom, his voice heavy with something that might have been regret. She has the ledger, Tom replied. We need to... Need to what? I cut in, anger burning away my fear. Make me disappear like Marco? Father's face went slack. What did you say? I know everything. The money laundering, the embezzlement, how you forced Marco out and then... Shut up! Tom lunged forward, but Father caught his arm. Mary, Father said quietly, whatever you think you know about Marco is the truth. A new voice interrupted. Mother stood in the doorway, her hands shaking but her spine straight. And it's time she heard all of it. Susan, don't... I've kept your secrets for 20 years, Richard. I won't do it anymore. She turned to me. Marco didn't just disappear, Mary. He was murdered, and your brother helped cover it up. The world tilted sideways. Tom's face had gone chalk white. That's a lie. Is it? Mother's laugh was bitter as medicine. You were only 12, but you saw everything that night. And your father convinced you it was an accident, that keeping quiet would protect the family. I clutched the ledger tighter, remembering grandmother's words. Revenge runs in the family. That's why you've been watching me, I said to Tham. Not to protect father's secrets, to protect your own. You don't understand, he whispered. You never understood what it takes to keep this family together. Together? The word tasted like ash. We were never together. We were just prisoners of his lies. I gestured at father with the ledger. And grandmother knew everything. She was gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment. The right moment for what? David appeared behind mother, and my heart contracted at his practiced, innocent expression. How long had he been listening? For justice, I said, meeting father's eyes. Marco's daughter deserves to know what happened to him, and I'm going to tell her. No, father said softly. You're not. He reached into his desk drawer and the world slowed down. Mother screamed. Tham moved forward. The ledger slipped from my fingers, but it was David who reached me first, pulling me through the office door as father's hand emerged with something metal and final. Run, David hissed in my ear. I'll hold them off. But Mary... His eyes met mine. Don't trust anyone, not even me. I ran, my grandmother's ledger clutched to my chest, my family's secrets burning like poison in my veins. Behind me, voices raised in anger, in fear, in desperation. But I didn't look back. I couldn't. Because now I knew revenge wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about survival. Grandma Eleanor's hands shook as she sorted through her medications, the morning sun casting long shadows across her kitchen table. 3 days since I'd fled Vincenzo's, and the world had shifted like quicksand beneath our feet. Your mother called again, she said, not meeting my eyes. They're saying you stole financial documents, that you're trying to destroy the restaurant. My laptop screen flickered with Marco's autopsy report, obtained through channels I'd rather not think about. Funny how they're more worried about paper than murder. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through the window, I spotted David's car in the driveway. Grandmother's fingers closed around my wrist. Don't, she whispered. The timing's too convenient. I watched him pace on the porch, phone pressed to his ear. His voice carried through the window. No sign of her here, Tham. My chest tightened. Grandmother's grip strengthened. There's something else you need to see, she said, leading me to her study. But first, promise me you'll be careful with what you learn. Knowledge is like poison. The dose determines whether it kills or cures. She pulled a sealed envelope from her desk drawer. Inside, a photograph showed a younger version of my mother with David, dated 15 years ago. They were laughing, intimate, his arm around her waist. Your mother's affair didn't just break your father, grandmother said softly. It broke something in Tham, too. Watching his perfect family crumble, seeing what secrets could do. The doorbell rang again, more insistent. David's voice rose. Mary, if you're in there, please, we need to talk. My phone buzzed. Sophia Rossi. Emergency? Meet me at the cafe. Found something about the night my father died. I have to go. I told grandmother, but she blocked the door. Wait, there's more. She pressed a USB drive into my palm. Bank records, properties in your mother's maiden name. The real reason Marco had to die. What are you saying? Your father didn't kill Marco, Mary. Your mother did. And Tham saw everything. The world tilted sideways. Outside, car doors slammed. Multiple vehicles. Grandmother hurried to the window, her face draining of color. They're here. Richard, Tham, and... Oh, Mary. Your mother, too. My phone buzzed again. Lily. Don't trust Sophia. She's working with Tham. The greenhouse, grandmother said, already moving. There's a tunnel left over from Prohibition days. It leads to the old church property. Come with me. No. She straightened her spine, suddenly looking every inch the family matriarch. I'll buy you time. But Mary... She gripped my shoulders. Whatever you do next, remember, revenge doesn't have to mean destruction. Sometimes the best revenge is surviving, thriving, building something new from the ashes. Heavy footsteps on the porch. David's voice joined by others. Grandmother pushed me toward the greenhouse door, the combination to my safe. She whispered, "Use it when the time is right. Now go." I ran through the greenhouse, past the roses she'd taught me to tend, the herbs she'd used to heal my childhood scrapes. Behind me, the front door splintered open, voices raised in anger and accusation. The tunnel entrance lay hidden behind a false panel of gardening tools. As I pulled it shut, I heard my father's voice, cold with fury. "Where is she, Eleanor? Where she needs to be." My grandmother replied, steel in her voice, doing what should have been done 20 years ago. A crash, a scream, my mother's. Then Tom's voice, urgent. "She's in the greenhouse." I plunged into the darkness of the tunnel, my grandmother's USB drive clutched in one hand, my phone in the other. Above, footsteps thundered through the greenhouse. Glass shattered. Someone cursed. My phone lit up one last time. An unknown number. Marco's ledger wasn't the only one. Your grandmother kept her own records. Find them and you'll understand everything. D. I switched off the phone, letting darkness swallow me whole. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and truth. Behind lay everything I'd ever known, burning to ashes in my grandmother's greenhouse. But she was right. Revenge didn't have to mean destruction. Sometimes it meant surviving long enough to rebuild. And I intended to do both. The old church basement smelled of mildew and broken promises. I huddled in the corner, watching the USB drive's contents flicker across my laptop screen. 3 hours since I'd emerged from the tunnel, and each new document felt like another nail in my family's coffin. My phone vibrated. Lily's 10th attempt to reach me. I let it ring. After what the files had shown me about David's connection to my mother, I couldn't trust anyone. Not even my best friend. A door creaked upstairs. Footsteps echoed through the empty church. "I know you're here, Mary." Tom's voice carried down the stairs. "Grandmother's in the hospital. Stroke, they're saying. She's asking for you." My fingers froze over the keyboard. The latest document showed a series of payments from my mother to Marco, dated weeks before his death. Blackmail money. "You're lying," I called back, already packing my laptop. "Check your phone." A pause. "She collapsed right after you left. The doctors don't think she'll make it through the night." My screen lit up with a hospital photo. Grandmother, pale and small against white sheets. Mother sat beside her, and the timestamp was from 10 minutes ago. "I'm coming down," Tom said. His footsteps descended slowly. Alone, unarmed. "Just let me explain." He appeared in the doorway, hands raised. The brother I'd grown up with looked haunted, hollowed out. "You knew," I said. "All these years you knew what Mother did to Marco." "I was 12, Mary. I saw..." He swallowed hard. "I saw her push him down the stairs at Vincenzo's. Saw Father help her hide the body. But I didn't understand why until now. The affair with David. Not just that." Tom moved closer, his shoes crunching on broken glass. "Marco discovered Mother's other life, the properties she'd bought with laundered money, the connections to organized crime. He threatened to expose everything. So she killed him." The words tasted like acid. "And Father covered it up. To protect us, to protect you." Tom's laugh was bitter. "Why do you think he pushed you so hard to join the restaurant? Keep you close, keep you safe from Mother's world. Safe?" I gestured at my laptop. "There are millions missing from the restaurant accounts, all traced to offshore accounts in Mother's name." "I know. I've been tracking them for years, trying to find proof." He reached into his jacket, producing a familiar red ledger. "Grandmother's not the only one who kept records." The basement door slammed shut above us. David's voice carried down. "Tom, did you find her?" Tom's expression shifted to panic. "We need to go, now." "Why?" "David helped me escape at Vincenzo's." "Because David works for Mother. Has for 15 years. Tom grabbed my arm. Their affair wasn't love, it was business. He's her cleaner when things get messy. Footsteps on the stairs. Tom shoved me toward a broken window. The tunnels connect under the whole historic district, he whispered. Go to St. Michael's Cemetery. I'll meet you at Marco's grave in 2 hours. Why should I trust you? Because I'm done pretending. His eyes met mine. Mother killed Marco. Now she's killing father slowly with guilt, killing our family with secrets. It has to end. The basement door opened. I slipped through the window just as David's voice rang out. She was here, the laptop still warm. I ran through the darkness, Tom's ledger clutched to my chest. Behind me, voices argued. Something shattered. A gunshot cracked through the night. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Mother. You're just like Marco. Too stubborn to let things lie. Don't make me solve this problem the same way. I switched off the phone, letting the tunnels swallow me again. The truth about my family lay scattered between 3 ledgers. Marco's, grandmother's, and now Tom's, each telling a different version of our destruction. But grandmother lay dying. Tom might be dead. And Mother's cleaner was hunting me through the underground maze of our town's history. For the first time since this started, revenge felt hollow. This wasn't about justice anymore. It wasn't even about survival. It was about legacy. About whether anything good could grow from soil soaked in 20 years of lies. The cemetery waited ahead, Marco's grave holding its own secrets. In 2 hours, I'd either find answers with Tom or join Marco in the family's final betrayal. Either way, the harvest of our sins was ready to be reaped. St. Michael's Cemetery lay silent under a waning moon. Marco's headstone cast a long shadow across the frost-covered grass, and I wasn't alone beside it. Mother stood there, elegant even at midnight, her camel hair coat catching the moonlight. No David in sight, but the weight of her purse suggested she hadn't come unarmed. Tom's alive, she said, answering my unspoken question. For now, though his loyalty seems questionable these days. I clutched the 3 ledgers to my chest. Marco's, grandmother's, Tom's, the holy trinity of our family's damnation. Like yours was to Marco? Loyalty? She laughed softly. Marco was a means to an end. Like David. Like your father. Even you if you just played your part. What part? Ignorant daughter, blind accomplice, survivor. She moved closer, her heels silent on the frozen ground. Everything I did was to build something lasting, something powerful. The restaurant was just the beginning. It was built on blood money, on Marco's murder. It was built on necessity. Her voice hardened. Marco threatened everything. Not just the money laundering, but the entire network. Your father never knew the full scope, still doesn't. Movement flickered at the cemetery gate. Tom appeared, limping but alive, his dark coat stained darker on one sleeve. Tell her the rest, he called out. Tell her about grandmother. Mother's face tightened. Eleanor made her choice. Like Marco did? I stepped back, pieces clicking into place. Grandmother wasn't just keeping records. She was gathering evidence, building a case. For 20 years, Tom said, moving closer. Working with the FBI? That stroke wasn't natural, was it, Mother? She was going to destroy everything. Mother's hand slipped into her purse. Just like you're trying to do now. No. Father's voice cut through the darkness. He emerged from behind a mausoleum, looking older than I'd ever seen him. It ends tonight, Susan. No more blood. No more lies. Richard. Her smile turned razor sharp. Still trying to protect our children from the truth? That you helped hide Marco's body? That you've been laundering money through our restaurant for decades? To protect them from you. He moved to stand beside me. But I can't anymore. The FBI has everything. Eleanor's evidence, Tom's recordings, Mary's files. Mother's laugh turned wild. You think that matters? I built this empire while you played restaurant owner. I have connections you can't imagine. Had connections. David's voice rang out. He stepped from the shadows, badge glinting in the moonlight. Federal Agent David Chen. Your network's been dismantled, Mrs. Thompson. It's over. The gun appeared in Mother's hand like a magic trick. Nothing's over until I say it is. Everything happened at once. Tom lunged forward. Father shouted. David reached for his weapon, but I was closest. The struggle was brief, desperate. The gun discharged into the night sky as we fell. Mother's perfume filled my nose, familiar as childhood. Her fingers, strong as steel, fought for control. I gave you everything, she hissed. You took everything, I corrected, and brought Marco's ledger down hard against her temple. She crumpled, the gun skittering across frozen grass. David moved in with handcuffs while Father helped me up. I'm sorry, he whispered, for all of it. Tom picked up Mother's fallen purse, removing a syringe. Same poison she used on Grandmother. She was going to... Don't. I stopped him. Some secrets should stay buried. As FBI vehicles surrounded the cemetery, their lights painting the headstones in red and blue, I looked at what remained of my family. Father, broken but finally honest. Tom, wounded but allied at last. Mother, defeated on the ground where Marco lay below. What happens now? Tom asked. I touched Marco's headstone, feeling the cold marble under my fingers. We rebuild. Not the restaurant, not Mother's empire, something new. Together? Father's voice cracked. Together, I agreed. But first we need to visit Grandmother. She deserves to know it's finished. Dawn was breaking as we left the cemetery, painting the sky the color of fresh roses. Somewhere in a hospital room, Grandmother Eleanor was waiting. And for the first time since this began, revenge no longer tasted like salvation. It tasted like morning dew on new leaves, like possibility, like hope. Spring bloomed early in Grandmother Eleanor's garden. I knelt in the soft earth, transplanting the last of her prized roses to the greenhouse. The estate felt different now. Less a sanctuary, more a testament to survival. The newspaper on the kitchen table told our family's story in bold headlines. Thompson Restaurant, Empire Falls. Criminal enterprise exposed. Mother's trial had ended yesterday. 25 years for Marco's murder, plus additional charges for financial crimes. Father and Tom had taken plea deals, their testimonies helping dismantle her network. Lily appeared at the garden gate, portfolio in hand. The Peterson designs are ready for review, and there's someone here to see you. I wiped dirt from my hands as Sophia Rossi walked through the garden. She carried a familiar wooden box, the one that had started everything. Found this in my father's storage unit, she said, setting it beside me. Thought you should have it. Inside lay photographs. Marco and my mother in their youth, laughing at the restaurant's opening. Another showed Grandmother Eleanor with Marco, their heads bent over garden plans. The final image showed my mother's handwriting on the back. The beginning of the end. They were going to transform the restaurant, Sophia said quietly. Marco's recipes, Eleanor's garden-to-table concept, before ambition poisoned everything. The greenhouse door creaked. Tom stood there, looking uncertain in civilian clothes. His ankle monitor caught the sunlight. The investigators finished at Vincenzo's, he said. They're returning the original deed to Marco's family. To Sophia. She nodded, unsurprised. I'm selling it, unless... Unless? I asked. Unless you both want to help me rebuild it. Not as it was. As it should have been. Tom's breath caught. I studied my brother's face. Thinner now, humbled by house arrest and community service, but clearer somehow. Like soil after rain. I can't, he said finally. Some legacies shouldn't be repeated. But others can be transformed, I added, touching one of Grandmother's roses. I know a thing or two about gardens, about making beauty grow from wreckage. Sophia smiled. That's what Marco always said about your grandmother, that she could make flowers bloom in concrete. A car pulled up to the house. David, Agent Chen now, stepped out, carrying files. Our eyes met briefly, acknowledging what could have been, what never would be. He'd played his part in justice, but some betrayals left scars too deep for forgiveness. The FBI finished processing Eleanor's evidence, he said, handing me the files. They found something you should see. Inside was a letter, written in grandmother's elegant hand the day before Mother poisoned her. Not an accusation or a confession, but a recipe. Her secret garden sauce, the one that had made Vincenzo's famous. The final ingredient, she'd written, is forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. Let go of the thorns, dear Mary. Find the flowers instead. Tears blurred my vision. Tom's hand found my shoulder, steady and warm. What do you say, little sister? He asked. Ready to plant something new? I looked at our strange gathering. Sophia with her father's box, David with his badge and regrets, Tom with his monitor and hope, Lily with her designs and loyalty. All of us marked by the past, but not bound by it. First, I said, we need to finish grandmother's garden. She always said every ending should nurture a beginning. As they moved toward the greenhouse, I lingered by the roses. Mother's empire had crumbled, but something else had taken root. Something that smelled of basil and redemption, of soil and second chances. The thorns would always be there, reminding us of what was lost. But now they protected something precious. The truth that revenge, like gardens, could be transformed into restoration. I picked up my trowel and joined the others. We had work to do, my unlikely family of survivors and seekers. And somewhere, in the rich, dark earth of our shared history, tomorrow's flowers were waiting to bloom. Not in spite of our scars, but because of them. Together, we would make them grow.